Chapter 5109. Sumu sat down and didn't ask him how many dishes she ordered. She even ordered a small bottle of wine. She looked up at Master Cheng and said, "I don't know if you are used to it." "I'm used to it. I'm also used to the poison you give me." Master Cheng smiled and looked a little silly. But Master Cheng was not stupid. He was very powerful in front of others. At this time, he saw Sumu ordering dishes and wine and serving him personally. He thought that she had thought it through and smiled happily. "Leave these things to me in the future. I will serve you comfortably every day. You will be very happy with me. I don't have the bad habits of those rich young masters." Sumu didn't refute him immediately. She poured him a small glass of wine. "What about the women around you?" "Of course, I will drive them away. None of them will stay," Master Cheng said without thinking. Sumu nodded. "Even Jian won't stay?" Master Cheng patted his chest and said, "No. Drive them away." Then he came over with a licking face. "What's so good about her? She's not even 1/10 as good as you." Sumu lowered her face and said in a low voice, "Really?" She said softly, "Then why don't you drive them away now?" Master Cheng was stunned. He was not stupid. He wanted to drive all the women away when Sumu invited him to a meal. What if Sumu refused? Wouldn't he lose for nothing? But he just smiled and didn't say anything. How could Sumu not know? She pursed her lips. "You don't really like me. It's just because I helped you when you were young. You want to repay me." "Cheng Zheng, I got more than 20,000 yuan in commission today, so I'll treat you to a meal. We'll be even in the future." She even poured herself a glass of white wine and drank it in one gulp. Cheng Zheng was a little anxious. Seeing that she didn't drink as happily as she usually did when she made women drink, he felt a little distressed. Now he could see that she was trying to draw a line with him. Cheng Zheng was in low spirits. He took the bottle and drank half of it. Sumu didn't stop him. She knew he could drink a lot. Master Cheng was in a bad mood. "Sumu, you only like gigolos. You've never considered me. I don't like pretty boys. I just happened to meet Shen Wenshuan. Just like how you might meet someone you really like one day. You think you like me, but that's not the case. Look at you, you're not even willing to take the risk to drive away the woman around you. You're leaving a way out for yourself. You're only willing to spend some effort and money to change your life if I'm willing. Cheng Zheng, this isn't love. Real love isn't like this." Sumu tried to reason with him. But Master Cheng was an uncouth man. She couldn't get through to him at all, "Okay?" Master Cheng said in a gruff voice, "I only have one intestine." "Sumu, you said that I don't love you. Then tell me, who else can I love?" At this moment, the dishes were served and his voice was loud. Everyone in the restaurant looked at Grandpa Cheng. Grandpa Cheng threw out 2 stacks of money and said, "Tell these people to fucking fuck off. Watch me have a good show." He had a feeling that Sumu didn't like him at all. She didn't even consider him, so he was a little angry. I wonder who said that her ex-husband had the temper of a young master. Master Cheng, who has been living like a prince all these years, has a temper too. Sumu gestured for the waiter to leave first. She took the money back from Master Cheng and said in a low voice, "Why are you doing this?" Master Cheng just sat there and drank his wine. He didn't make a sound. It seemed like he was angry. Chapter 5110. Master Cheng just sat there drinking his wine, not saying a word, as though he was angry. In his life, he had never been angry at anyone, but he was angry at Sumu. When she got together with Shen Wenshuan, he was angry, but at a glance, he saw that he was a promising young man. For the first time, Master Cheng felt inferior. He helped her and even took Shen Wenshuan's money. It didn't matter, as long as his woman was happy. The second time he was angry, he knew that she was pregnant and had a child, but he was afraid that it would destroy her dream of being rich. Didn't all women want to marry into a rich family? This time, he was angry again. She was single now, and he had money that he couldn't finish spending, but why didn't she consider him? Master Cheng just drank his wine alone, unhappy, and that blockhead didn't come to comfort him. He waited for a long time, and seeing that there was no hope, he couldn't bear to leave. He was the kind of person who couldn't bear to hurt Sumu. Even if she broke his heart, he couldn't bear to hurt her. After the meal, Sumu rejected his invitation to walk the streets. Master Cheng howled at the sky in the dark, and even slapped his own mouth. I'm so cheap, why must it be her? There are so many beautiful women waiting for me to dote on. He grabbed one of his men and asked, what do you think is good about Sumu? She's worth it for me to do this. The man wasn't very smart, and he immediately said, yes, she's useless. She can't be compared to Miss Jian. Look, she doesn't have a face, and she doesn't have a figure. Her temper is even worse. Master Cheng is like a tyrant, how can he stand it? Just as he finished speaking, he was slapped by Master Cheng. Are you looking for death? Even I can't bear to scold someone, and you scolded her so easily, right? Go and slap yourself 100 times. If you don't slap yourself until your face is swollen, you won't remember. You guys go and keep an eye on him, don't let him slack off. Master Cheng patted his clothes, got into a small car, and went to his place to have some fun. Right now, he didn't want to see Su Jian. Looking at that little bitch made him think of Su Mu, and his heart felt stifled. Master Cheng asked the chauffeur to drive the car to the entertainment city. He got out of the car, wiped his hair, and tidied up the gold chain on his body. This was not an ordinary gold chain. He had spent a lot of money to make it, and it was unique. He swaggered in, and the people around him stood in 2 rows. Hello, Master Cheng. Master Cheng stood still, pointed at the manager and said, pick 2 hot chicks to relieve my boredom, the ones who can sing good songs. Last time, that male duck's voice was really bad, did you kick him out? The manager immediately said, drive him out. How can we keep someone who can't enter Master Cheng's eyes? Master Cheng was very satisfied with this bootlicking. This was what life was. Being with Su Mu was spiritual, and he was happy. As long as Su Mu was willing to be with him, it didn't matter even if she abused him every day. Master Cheng felt that his love for Su Mu was true, but she didn't appreciate it and didn't believe it. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. After entering a luxurious private room, Master Cheng crossed his legs and took out a cigar. Before he could light it up, 2 young and good-looking girls came in. They looked very gentle and gentle. This was what life was like. Master Cheng smirked and patted the seat beside him. Come over and sit down. Light a cigar for me. The 2 girls naturally went over, and they acted coquettishly and flattered him. They poured wine for Master Cheng and patted his back, making him very happy. Chapter 51:11. Master Cheng took out hundreds of thousands of cash from his bag and rewarded them. Hearing the girl's ecstatic look, he smiled. This was life. The manager was happy to see Master Cheng happy. Suddenly, he remembered something. By the way, Master Cheng, there's a reporter outside. He said he's from the Sun newspaper and wants to see you. Master Cheng was enjoying the girl's service. He glanced at the manager. A reporter. The manager nodded. Yes, a reporter. His surname is Du. He said he's a former colleague of Miss Su and has a good relationship with her. When Master Cheng heard that he was Su Mu's colleague, he immediately became excited. He waved his hand and asked the 2 girls to leave first. Later, he thought about it and stayed. He wanted Su Mu to know what his daily life was like. He was willing to give up for her. Su Mu should be moved if she knew. The manager went to invite someone. It was Du Meili. Du Meili was very elegant tonight. She had long curly hair and a tight red dress. She didn't look like a reporter at all. She looked more like a girl here. It was just that. Master Cheng frowned. This girl was not bad looking and had a SOSO figure, but she was at least 30 years old. Who was she trying to show off to at such an age? Master Cheng likes young girls who are fresh and tender. Su Jian's character is cheap, but she is still young. Her eyebrows and eyes resemble Su Mu. Master Cheng is very satisfied with her. At this time, Du Meili was covered in dust, but she insisted on pretending to be a reporter. She took out her name card and shook her head. Mr. Cheng, my surname is Du. I'm the deputy editor of the Sun newspaper. I'm here today to interview you. If you have something to say, just say it. Are you mocking me for being uncultured? Master Cheng glared at her. Gui Meili could not find a way out of this embarrassing situation. The manager tried to smooth things over. Master Cheng, calm down. She's Miss Sue's former colleague. Master Cheng's anger disappeared at once. He touched his chin and said, yes, she's Mu's former colleague. Du Meili breathed a sigh of relief and pushed a girl aside. She leaned against Master Cheng and said, Master Cheng, it's like this. We have a special topic. What do you think? Drink up, I'll give you 10 minutes. Master Cheng placed his feet on the table. His pair of spirited eyes were filled with masculinity as he looked at Du Meili's body. Du Meili didn't know why, but she felt something. She was originally reluctant, but now she was as tender as water. Master Cheng, if you want me to drink, isn't it easy? The manager on the side cursed in his heart. Didn't she say that she wanted to interview him? Why did this woman's words and actions seem to be seducing Master Cheng? Du Meili was also a wine drinker. Even when she was drinking a little wine, she was still very good. She didn't miss a single drop of wine. Even the two girls couldn't compete with her. Today was also a chance encounter with Master Cheng, so Du Meili used all her skills. She heard that Su Mu ignored the rich, and it just so happened that she was short of money. After finishing the bottle of wine, she chuckled. Master Cheng said he would give me 10 minutes. Master Cheng hooked her chin with his finger. Is 10 minutes enough? Maybe not. Du Meili felt that it was enough. She smiled charmingly and wanted to be alone with Master Cheng. She was very angry. Why didn't the manager go out? How could she do it? The manager still didn't move. After all, Master Cheng had never messed around here. Chapter 51:12. Updated quickly, the manager still didn't move. One must know that Master Cheng had never messed around here. Master Cheng had always been here to drink and listen to songs. But today, before he could even listen to the songs, a woman had appeared. Master Cheng was smiling, but his heart was already filled with rage. This woman was going to die a horrible death later. As expected, Master Cheng smiled. I also feel that 10 minutes isn't enough. He took out 50,000 yuan from his bag. Take it, sing me a few songs. Du Meili thought that she had heard wrongly, but she didn't dare to flare up. She could only squeeze out a smile. Master Cheng, are you joking? Shouldn't we? 50,000 yuan isn't enough, 100,000 yuan. Master Cheng scattered the money on the ground and said softly, pick it up one by one. Don't say that you're a noble reporter. In my territory, only I, Master Cheng, am happy. I don't have the obligation to give in to you people with bad tempers. Du Meili was completely stunned. This man was sick. She turned around and wanted to leave, but Master Cheng grabbed her hand and threw her onto the ground. Du Meili had never suffered like this before. The only time she was beaten up was when she was with Zhong Futsai, by Sister Hong. Sister Hong slapped her more than 10 times. Because she and Zhong Futsai were at their house, Sister Hong came back from a business trip and slapped her. But that time, she was the one who asked for it. Du Meili was shameless, but at least she knew that she couldn't steal from someone else's house. She accepted it and argued with Sister Hong many times. But what was wrong with this man now? What was wrong with him? Master Cheng stood up and kicked her. Look at you, I can tell that you're not the same as Su Mu. Letting you sing is letting you off easy. If you don't want to sing, go outside and find the manager to arrange for you to sing with someone else. As for what happened to Reporter Du, I don't know. Du Meili finally understood why women wanted to marry rich. This man was rich, but he was really perverted. She got up, stood there, endured the pain and sang for Master Cheng. Master Cheng thought it was terrible and asked her to get lost. However, he was no longer in the mood and went back to his villa early. As soon as he returned, he saw Su Jian sitting on the sofa in her black pajamas and painting her nails. She was born very white, and indeed did not look like the same breed as Su Mu. However, Su Mu was thin and had a better figure than her. Moreover, Master Cheng liked that ordinary face of hers very much. Master Cheng did not utter a word, so Su Jian took the initiative to pull him to sit down. She even wanted to apply nail polish for him. Master Cheng despised it and threw it away. Su Jian was not angry. She was a very adaptable person. She smiled coquettishly and leaned over. "Why are you so angry? Did my sister not give you a good look?" Master Cheng casually flipped through the magazine on the side and threw it down. "You only read these useless things. Can't you learn from your sister and enrich yourself more?" Su Jian was furious. However, she still picked up the nail polish and continued to apply it. At the same time, she said, "If everyone was like my sister, would Master Cheng like them? Would he still be able to vent his anger on me like this?" Even though she said that, there was a hint of seduction in her words. Master Cheng was moved. Su Jian, this young lady, was very scheming. She was greedy, but she was really patient with him. He knew what she was after. Wasn't it his money? However, his money, Su Mu did not even look at it. It was as if it was scalding hot. Chapter 51:13. 1 second to remember. Master Cheng felt a little uncomfortable. Only he knew how uncomfortable he felt. If he told other women, they would laugh themselves to death. Master Cheng was very troubled. After teasing Su Jian for a while, he lay on the sofa and smoked. Su Jian leaned over and said softly, "What's wrong? My sister really doesn't want to talk to you." Master Cheng glanced at her and ignored her. All of a sudden, she didn't have the mood. Su Jian giggled and leaned back on the sofa, looking very charming. Master Cheng looked at her and after a while, he felt something again. Su Jian chuckled. "Master Cheng, look at you. You have to chase after my sister. What kind of person is my sister? Even the rich young masters don't like her." Master Cheng probably suffered too many setbacks today. He realized that this little vixen was more understanding. He didn't reject her, but when he saw her puff out the smoke, he reminded her softly, "Don't get addicted, this thing isn't good." Su Jian wasn't afraid. Instead, she felt very happy. "What are you afraid of? No matter how expensive it is, Master Cheng is willing to buy it for me." Master Cheng smiled and was very happy to be coaxed. Thinking that she was addicted to it anyway, he simply gave her a new one to smoke. From then on, Su Jian couldn't do without these things every day. Her body also became thinner and thinner, so thin that it was a little strange. Fortunately, she was not too ugly when she was young. Instead, she looked more like Su Mu. Master Cheng was really happy for a while and did not find trouble with Su Mu again. Perhaps it was because an uncouth man like Master Cheng would also hurt his pride. As for the incident with Du Meili that day, Master Cheng had long forgotten about it. However, the great reporter Du Meili didn't forget that she suffered a big loss. Of course, she couldn't do anything to Master Cheng. She still had to do the interview. So, Du Meili thought of a dirty trick. She acted coquettishly and pestered the chief editor Zhong Futsai. In the end, she actually set this special report as social news and let Sister Hong interview it. The whole editorial team was quite angry because of Master Cheng's reputation. In B City, who was not afraid of him? Originally, Du Meili was in charge of the editorial team, but now, just because he had an affair with the chief editor, he pushed the responsibility to Sister Hong. Sister Hong was also quite angry. She did not want to have any contact with an uncouth man. She knew very well how crazy her boss could be. She would do something to people at the drop of a hat. However, she also knew Du Meili's character. She must have been rejected by Master Cheng, so she pushed herself over. Otherwise, how could she bear to throw away Master Cheng's generosity? Although Sister Hong was angry, she still did what she had to do. She made an appointment to meet Master Cheng. Initially, Master Cheng did not want to meet her as he was playing ice hockey with 3 to 4 beauties surrounding him. Every time Master Cheng scored a goal, those girls would let out extremely mushy cheers. It was extremely mushy. But Master Cheng liked it. With a cigar in his mouth, he asked casually while playing basketball, "Is that woman still around?" The manager answered truthfully, "Yes, Master Cheng, Sister Hong is still here." Sister Hong? With a cigarette in his mouth, Father Cheng thought for a moment. "You mean that famous female reporter?" The one who caught her husband in bed with her and divorced him? How did Master Cheng know about this kind of gossip? The manager also secretly laughed. That's her. Does Master Cheng still remember that a few days ago, a woman came to look for Master Cheng and even wanted to seduce him? Master Cheng straightened his body. What? The manager laughed. That woman was the one who went to Sister Hong's house to spend the night. She was beaten up by Sister Hong. I heard that her face was swollen like a pig's head. From this, it can be seen that Sister Hong's temper is very fiery. No wonder men can't take it. Chapter 51:14. She's quite fierce, quite tasty. Master Cheng rubbed his chin. But, wasn't it her ex-husband who brought her home? That woman is so cheap, she deserves to be beaten up. But she didn't beat her husband. She did. The manager laughed out loud. That pig didn't get out of bed for a month and left the house with nothing. The woman sold the house the next day and moved out. She moved really fast. Master Cheng looked at him. This woman is quite interesting. Why don't we bring her to the villa to fight with Su Jian? Su Jian definitely won't be able to beat this fierce woman. The manager let out a long sigh. Sister Hong is in her early 30s. She was about 5 years older than Master Cheng. Didn't Master Cheng like young women? How could he eat such an old woman? Master Cheng frowned. She's that old. He thought about it and continued to play. The women around him surrounded him and acted coquettishly to please him. Master Cheng's money seemed to be free as it flew in the air. The women chased after him and screamed at him from time to time. It was this extravagant scene that was seen by Sister Hong. She stood at the door and quietly looked at the uncouth man. It wasn't the first time she met Master Cheng, but it was the first time Master Cheng met Sister Hong. Without an introduction, he knew that this was the old woman he was talking about. He lowered his head and continued to play. At the same time, he said to the manager who was trembling at the door, "Didn't you say that I wouldn't see you? Why are you here again?" The manager was about to cry. He covered his eyes. "I was hit by Miss Hong." Sister Hong said calmly, "My surname is Liu." Master Cheng was like a tyrant. How could he tolerate others behaving atrociously in his territory? He put down the cue and walked to the door to light a cigar. He blew out a ring of smoke and blew it right onto Sister Hong's face. "He didn't go to your house to sleep with your man. Why did you hit him?" The manager was about to cry. What Master Cheng said. Sister Hong smiled. "Is Mr. Cheng Zheng?" Before he could finish, Master Cheng slapped him across the face. The force of the slap was extremely powerful. Sister Hong's ears were ringing and her body hit the wall. The manager was dumbfounded. This Master Cheng really didn't know how to control his strength. Although Sister Hong was a bit of a tomboy, she was still a woman. What if she was injured? Moreover, she was half a celebrity. It wouldn't be good for the reputation. Master Cheng didn't have these psychological burdens. If he wanted to hit him, he would hit him. Moreover, he had already hit him. He chuckled and looked at Sister Hong. "You want to interview me, right? That female reporter dressed like that to seduce me." She brought out her trump card. "What about you? I heard that you're really good at fighting. How about it? Let's have a match. If you're able to beat me by a single move or two, I'll let you interview me. But if you don't have any chance of winning, then I'm sorry, I'll probably..." As Master Cheng spoke, he lowered his head and played with the ring on his finger. "Recently, I've been quite bored. I don't have any new toys, and everyone in B City knows that I, Master Cheng, have been jilted, so I'm not in a good mood. Your Sun Daily is still a shitty newspaper, and they keep finding trouble with me every day. Tell me, if I don't vent my anger on you guys, who should I vent my anger on? If you want to blame someone, blame the person in charge." Sister Hong stood up with much difficulty. There was blood at the corner of her mouth and half of her face was swollen. She looked at Master Cheng and put on a fake smile. Then, "Master Cheng, tell me the rules. Where do we fight?" Master Cheng laughed and said with a bit of an evil tone, "Do you really think I want to fight with you?" Chapter 51:15. As he spoke, he approached step by step, his tone slightly sinister. Accompany me for a week. You can interview me for as long as you want. The surrounding people were all stunned. Was this still Master Cheng? Didn't Master Cheng say that he wouldn't touch women above the age of 30? This Sister Hong was at least 30 and she didn't look feminine at all. The manager coughed lightly, reminding him. Master Cheng glared at him. The manager didn't dare to make a sound. Fine, as long as Master Cheng liked it. However, he could tell that Master Cheng wasn't in a good mood. Could it be that Miss Su's sister was trying to make him unhappy? Instead, it made Master Cheng even more unhappy. Master Cheng had once said that a woman of this age would be too old to even wipe the floor. Master Cheng did say that, but he was just bored now. This female reporter was more interesting than the previous time. He didn't really want to do anything with her. After all, she was too old. Master Cheng smiled lightly. How is it? Sister Hong leaned against the door and used a finger to wipe the blood from the corner of her mouth. Then, she took the cigar from Master Cheng's mouth and took a deep puff. The manager trembled. This was a ruthless person. Master Cheng looked at Sister Hong and suddenly went forward to let her hair down. She looked much more feminine when she let her hair down. Moreover, Sister Hong's facial features were similar to Su Mu's. If Su Mu was cold and indifferent, then Sister Hong was world-weary. She wasn't good-looking at first glance, but she was the kind that could make people fall in love with her. Master Cheng took a deep breath as if he was intoxicated. Then, he stepped back. She's not bad. She suits my taste. Let's move to my villa tonight. Sister Hong didn't say anything, but the manager was shocked. Wasn't this a little too much? Sister Hong was a proper professional woman. She was half a celebrity. How was she going to face others if this got out? Master Cheng glanced at him and said, "You're ignoring my words." Sister Hong remained calm. She leaned against the wall and smiled. Master Cheng, can you do it? Don't you like girls in their 20s the most? Master Cheng narrowed his eyes. You've done your homework, but I have some hobbies that reporter Liu might not know about. Sister Hong stared at him. Soon, she found out. Master Cheng's villa was very, very big. It was like a palace. There were a few women living here. Usually, they would stay in their own suites. Each suite was 200 square meters. It was almost like a king didn't see another king. Moreover, now that Su Jian was the most favored woman in the villa, other women would not come out. However, no one knew that Master Cheng had arranged for Sister Hong to live in Su Jian's suite. This suite had a master bedroom and a second bedroom, with a cloakroom and a living room. There was no door. In other words, Sister Hong lived in the secondary bedroom, so she could hear the movements in the master bedroom. As soon as she entered, she cursed in her heart. What a pervert! Su Jian was especially wary of Sister Hong's arrival. She was even hostile towards her. It wasn't because Sister Hong was Master Cheng's woman. She didn't believe that Master Cheng would be able to eat her. Master Cheng looked like an uncouth man, but he was actually very picky about his food. He didn't play around outside and kept women for his enjoyment. Su Jian was very shrewd. After spending so much time with Master Cheng, she knew his character. This Sister Hong must have offended Master Cheng. Master Cheng was just teasing her, so she didn't mind. What she minded was that this woman had a good relationship with Su Mu, so she hated Sister Hong. Chapter 51:16. Guessing Master Cheng's true intentions, coupled with the fact that Su Jian had no moral integrity and wanted to please Master Cheng to make him happy, she didn't hold back at all. Sister Hong didn't sleep well that night. This was really an eye-opener. Sister Hong was also quite speechless. In the morning, Su Jian didn't even get up. Su Jian came over in a black bathrobe. She looked really ugly. Sister Hong recognized her and knew that she was Su Mu's sister. She didn't understand why there was such a big difference between the two of them. Sister Hong didn't want to get up. She didn't sleep for the whole night and now she was dizzy. Su Jian leaned over and said shamelessly, "Are you jealous of me?" Sister Hong buried her face in the pillow and listened to Su Jian say, "Master Cheng likes young women." "Sister Hong, you're Sister Hong, right?" When you're old, you have to accept it. I've been taking care of Master Cheng for the whole week. Just listen to me. I know it's easy for a woman of your age to fall asleep. Earphones, cotton, anything is fine. Sister Hong lay upright and glanced at Su Jian. You and Cheng Zheng are quite compatible. Su Jian was quite angry. Is Master Cheng's name something you can say? Sister Hong couldn't take it anymore. You keep calling him master. Aren't you cheap? Cheng Zheng is your master and you still accompany him. She didn't get to say that word but was mocked by Su Jian. This sister is so pure. I don't believe that you didn't feel anything last night. Just pretend. You're just like my sister. Sister Hong couldn't be bothered with her. She pulled the blanket over and wanted to sleep, but Su Jian provoked her by pulling the blanket and not letting her sleep. Sister Hong was angry and slapped her. Su Jian, this slap is on behalf of Su Mu. Don't you have any shame? You clearly know Cheng Zheng's feelings and yet you're so happy to cooperate. Do you think a man like him will like you and love you? To him, a woman is just a dog. Today, he coaxes you, and tomorrow, he'll throw you away. How cheap. Su Jian's face turned red and white after being scolded by her. She lived in Master Cheng's house, ate well, and slept well. Master Cheng was full of masculinity. What's wrong with that? Many women outside wanted to climb into this villa, but they couldn't. This woman must be pretending. Sister Hong's reply was still the same. She couldn't be bothered with her. At this moment, Master Cheng's voice came from the door. Let her sleep. She's going to have a lot of trouble tonight. Su Jian immediately went over happily and hugged Master Cheng's arm with a look of victory. Sister Hong's words were still the same, cheap or not. Master Cheng walked over and looked down at Sister Hong. This woman was really not an ordinary woman. He had made so much noise last night and she had been sleeping here. She really didn't think of herself as a woman. He glanced at Su Jian. Let's go downstairs for breakfast. I have something to discuss with Red Reporter. How could Su Jian be willing? She refused to leave. Cheng Zheng swept a glance over. She had no choice but to go downstairs. She said worriedly, I'll wait for you to have breakfast together. Master Cheng was not the kind of man who would listen to a woman. He only replied with a faint millimeter. Su Jian closed the door and was furious. Old woman, you want to fight with me? Can you even win against her? Look at yourself. You're old and ugly, just like Su Mu. She did not dare to eavesdrop. Otherwise, Master Cheng would beat her up if he knew. Chapter 51:17. In the bedroom, Master Cheng sized up the person lying on the bed and smiled. You really aren't an ordinary person. How about this? I'll send Su Jian to another room to sleep tonight. Chem? He believed that a woman without a man like Sister Hong would also be infatuated with him. How many female reporters like them were clean? They would most likely have an ambiguous relationship with a sugar daddy. Master Cheng knew this the best. Master Cheng chuckled. Why do you have to be so unreasonable? Shouldn't you be happy that I'm willing to reward you? There are plenty of women lining up outside. Sister Hong was really shocked by this cheap couple. They were a match made in heaven. Didn't Cheng Jing just pester Su Mu a few days ago? He was really a scumbag. Master Cheng wasn't a scumbag, he just knew that there wasn't much hope. I'm not interested in you. If you want to find a woman, just turn left and there's a woman waiting for you. Sister Hong covered her head with the blanket and didn't want to talk to him anymore. Master Cheng chuckled and wasn't angry. Let's see how long you can last. You're crazy. Sister Hong touched the corner of her mouth as she said that. This dog of a man had slapped her swollen face. It hurt so much, but he still had the mood to think about other things. Sister Hong had underestimated their shamelessness. They were just short of a close combat performance. Master Cheng was indeed very manly. Su Jian wasn't only infatuated with his money, but also with his person. Sister Hong couldn't stand it, so she just directly admired it. It would be a waste not to look, they were shameless. After a week, Sister Hong managed to hold on. Master Cheng found it interesting at first, but after 2 days, he didn't even come back because Sister Hong was completely indifferent. Was she even a woman? Master Cheng got his secretary to send Sister Hong away. After getting answers to a few questions, he was done. After sending Sister Hong off, he still gave her 1,000,000 yuan and hospital fees. Master Cheng had always been generous to others. Sister Hong went to the Sun News Agency to report, which made Du Meili extremely jealous. She heard that Sister Hong stayed in Master Cheng's big villa for a week. It was obvious that it was a good thing. Otherwise, she would get money and an interview. Du Meili's tone was a little weird. Some people say nice things, but their actions are very shameless. Is there any difference between them and those who are sold outside? Of course, Sister Hong wouldn't let her. She handed over the task and stared at Du Meili. At least it's better than some people giving it away for free and even getting beaten up. Sister Hong didn't care about her reputation. If she walked outside, others would think that she was Master Cheng's woman and she would be safer. Besides, it was impossible for her to tell Du Meili that she was also beaten up by Mr. Cheng, and that she was in a worse state than Du Meili. When the editor-in-chief, Zhong Futsai, came out and heard the two women fighting, he called Sister Hong in. When Sister Hong walked over, he looked at her and asked hesitantly, "Did you really sleep with Master Cheng?" Sister Hong rolled her eyes. "Grandpa again? How cheap." Thus, he put on a fake smile and said, "Yes, I slept with her. Chief Editor, do you have any advice for me?" Zhong Futsai was especially angry. His hand trembled as he smoked a cigarette. "Liu Hong, do you still want to be so shameless? Sleeping with someone for business?" Sister Hong sneered. "Sleeping with someone can get you business, but your sweetheart wants to sleep with someone and then run away. Aren't you going to do anything about it?" The editor-in-chief knew who she was talking about. He said hoarsely, "It's fine if she runs away. Also, she's not my sweetheart." Sister Hong still had that indifferent look on her face. Chapter 51:18. Sister Hong still had that indifferent look on her face. In the past, when they were still husband and wife, didn't he always call Du Meili sweetheart on WeChat? How ironic. Now, it was no longer the case. In the past, he loved her to death. Sister Hong didn't want to think that she had put her heart on such a man. Not only was he a scumbag, but he was also ugly. She was about to leave when Zhong Futsai suddenly stopped her and asked a question that men cared about very much. "Is he better or am I better?" Sister Hong was stunned for a moment before she understood. Then she sneered, "After the divorce, I have had at least 8 or 10 men. Who do you want me to compare with? I have forgotten some of them." These words made Zhong Futsai so angry that his heart hurt. Sister Hong didn't care too much. After work, she casually strolled around. At 8 or 9 o'clock, she went back to change clothes and went to the bar. She wore a black dress, her long hair down, and she put on makeup. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't think that she was Sister Hong, the great reporter Li Yang. Of course, she came to such a place to find a man. She was also a normal woman, as long as she didn't get sick. Sister Hong took out her phone and sent a message to Su Mu while smoking, telling her that she had seen Su Jian in the villa these days. Su Jian's matter was beyond her expectations, but Su Mu didn't want to care about it. She had been indifferent. Sister Hong thought of Su Jian and could understand Su Mu. Su Mu wasn't a cold-hearted person. Didn't she take Su Shaoqing over to take care of him? Fortunately, the child was old and could live on campus. Otherwise, Su Mu would be in trouble. Sister Hong put down her phone and leaned against the bar to smoke quietly. Normally, there would be 8 or 10 people talking to her in a night. Sister Hong would choose a good one to maintain a relationship with. Depending on the other party, it might be half a year or 3 months, or it might be a night without contact. She didn't want to manage a relationship. She didn't plan to get married. She would live like this when she was young. Sister Hong had a principle of not touching the people around her, so she usually looked for one in the bar. Very soon, she was happily chatting with a man who looked like a fitness trainer. The man was very good at coaxing women. Sister Hong wasn't looking for a boyfriend. As long as he was interesting and had a good body, she would be satisfied. She stubbed out her cigarette and prepared to leave together. At the entrance of the bar, Grandpa Cheng was scratching his head as he walked in. He had a friend who was drinking here. Of course, he wouldn't bring so many subordinates with him just for a drink. He came alone. He had only taken a few steps when he saw a woman and a man hugging each other in the corridor. They seemed to be very passionate. This kind of small scene was nothing to Master Cheng, and he didn't take it to heart. He turned sideways and prepared to walk over, but when he passed by, he turned back and pulled the woman away. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Great reporter Liu." Sister Hong was a little embarrassed. She didn't expect to meet Cheng Zheng. Fortunately, it was in such a situation. Sister Hong flipped her hair and said, "Mr. Cheng, what can I do for you?" Master Cheng was quite amused. "I thought the big reporter had reached her menopause. Turns out she's also so open in private. I really couldn't tell. Let's continue playing, let's continue playing." As he spoke, he rubbed his head and continued walking forward. Sister Hong and the man were about to leave. Suddenly, Master Cheng felt that something was wrong. That wasn't right. This woman pretended to be pure and clean in front of him, but she was so wild in private. Master Cheng wasn't happy. This place was also his. One word from Master Cheng and Sister Hong couldn't leave. When the fitness trainer saw dozens of men in black coming out, he was so scared that he peed his pants. Chapter 51:19. Master Cheng looked at the man who looked like a gigolo and smiled. He glanced at Sister Hong. "Is this the man you found?" Sister Hong didn't seem to care. She leaned against the aisle and slowly smoked. "Isn't Su Jian the same? It's fine as long as she's happy. Why would she interfere in his life? Cheng Zheng, don't laugh at me. Don't tell me that a man like Master Cheng is so pure." It was the first time she called him master. It was a kind of teasing. Sister Hong didn't force it. Besides, it was really embarrassing to pee in her pants. She wanted to leave, but her arm was caught by a strong hand. Master Cheng's gaze was particularly masculine in the dim light. "Are you done for tonight? What else?" Sister Hong struggled. "Cheng Zheng, let go of me." She didn't know why, but the word Cheng Zheng actually flirted with Master Cheng. Very few people would call him that. In the past, people called him a little rascal. After he became rich, people called him master. Now, after Sister Hong said the word Cheng Zheng, he was inexplicably excited. When Master Cheng was excited, he would do stupid things. In the end, he dragged Sister Hong to a private room, kicked the door, and then, outside, the subordinates were all there. This matter couldn't be hidden. 2 hours later, Sister Hong got up from the sofa, took a red wine bottle, and smashed Master Cheng's head. Blood flowed. The subordinates came in and Sister Hong was pressed against the wall. Master Cheng reached out and touched his head. There was blood on his hand. He gently licked the blood off and said carelessly, "The price is quite high." He reached out and pinched Sister Hong's chin with his bloody fingers. He chuckled. "You're quite brave." Sister Hong glared at him. "Master Cheng is also quite brave. This is the first time I forced a woman like this." Master Cheng didn't regret it, even if there was a hole in his head. He stared at her. After a while, he ordered his subordinates to lock Sister Hong up and went to the hospital. Master Cheng was also surrounded by beautiful women. Fortunately, it was a VIP ward, so it wouldn't disturb others. Master Cheng was very pompous. He brought a sack of money from the treasury and played around. Even the nurses were afraid of him. They secretly said that he was a nouveau riche, but Master Cheng was not angry. He was a nouveau riche, and it was his weakness that he had never gone to school. Even if he pretended to be cultured, he wouldn't be able to do it. He might as well use his money to smash the faces of his grandsons and let them know that so what if they were cultured? In front of money, they still had to call him master. Master Cheng enjoyed this feeling very much, but he was tired of it after a long time. He was with beautiful women every day, so he forgot about Sister Hong. It was not until a week later that he remembered to ask the people around him how the woman was doing. To be honest, he quite liked Sister Hong's taste. Although he was the one who forced her that day, she didn't reject him in the end. Everyone was willing, so there was no need for both sides to suffer. Physical matters were not a problem for Master Cheng. He had a white moon in his heart. He secretly thought that Su Mu had given birth to a child and had a man before. He also had a woman, so they were even. As for how many, it was impossible to see and measure. He even told Su Mu that he and Su Jian were pure. They slept under the quilt and chatted. Master Cheng was too shameless. He was really too shameless. Of course, Su Mu wouldn't believe it. I'll update tomorrow. I'm so tired. Master Cheng and Sister Hong can't be pure. After all, they're old and their identities are their . Chapter 51:20. Su Mu didn't know what had happened to Sister Hong until later. Sister Hong didn't go to work the next day. Zhong Futsai called her but didn't get through. Zhong Futsai thought that she was having too much fun, so he didn't take it seriously. But on the third and fourth days, she still didn't come. Zhong Futsai became anxious. Sister Hong didn't have any relatives in B City. Recently, she had been close to Su Mu, so he went to look for Su Mu. Su Mu didn't see Sister Hong, either. However, she remembered that Sister Hong had told her that she had stayed with Cheng Zheng for a while. After thinking for a while, she decided to call Cheng Zheng. Cheng Zheng had forced her to save her phone number, saying that it was because of their friendship when they were young. Although Su Mu was very stubborn, she wasn't stupid. She didn't want to have any friendship with such a person. At this time, if it wasn't to find Sister Hong, she would never contact Master Cheng. But when Master Cheng received the phone call, he was wild with joy and even acted coquettishly. "Miu Miu, you forgot about me." His subordinates were about to vomit when they heard this, and the faces of the women twitched. Where did the mighty Master Cheng go? Master Cheng didn't care. He acted coquettishly. "I was injured and stayed in the hospital for several days. Didn't you come to see me? You'd better make some chicken soup. I like chicken soup the most. You'd better tell me another story. Don't you know that your sister only knows how to put on makeup all day long? It's so tacky." He was an uncouth man, but he despised others. Su Mu wanted to refuse, but she thought about asking him about the red group, so she agreed. After work, she went back to stew the chicken in a pressure cooker and then took it to the hospital. Coincidentally, when Su Mu went there, Su Jian also went there. She brought the chicken soup carefully made by the cook to feed Master Cheng. Master Cheng sat on the hospital bed, looking very energetic and glowing. He didn't look like someone who had been stabbed. Su Jian coaxed him to drink it, but Master Cheng's temper was not very good. As soon as he reached out, he knocked over Su Xiaomei's heart. Not only that, Master Cheng also scolded, "I said I don't drink it. It's annoying to be so sentimental." In the VIP ward, Su Jian was not the only woman. Usually, the women in the villa already had opinions about her. It was as if Master Cheng belonged to her alone. At this moment, Master Cheng did not give her face. Everyone cheered in their hearts, but they did not say it out loud. Su Jian felt especially embarrassed and wanted to act coquettishly. Master Cheng glared at her. "Can't you see that I'm busy? Hurry up and get back to your corpse." The other women all secretly laughed. This little slut also had such a day. Just as Su Jian was about to leave, Su Mu arrived with chicken soup in her hands. As soon as Master Cheng saw her, he immediately smiled, and then quickly realized that he was wrong. He coughed lightly and said, "All of you go back and clean up the house. I invited you to do housekeeping. You really think of yourselves as servants. I don't need you to take care of me here." Master Cheng was very proud. He found a woman and did not admit it. But Su Mu did not care. Cheng Zheng was not related to her. She just thought that he was funny. He seemed to mind that he was uncultured, but Su Mu did not care. Cheng Zheng was so lawless since he was a child. It was also because of his ability that he could make it to where he was now. What right did others have to look down on him? Su Mu looked at him and put down the chicken soup. "I'll leave some to feed you." She knew what Master Cheng's usual extravagance was. Chapter 51:21. Master Cheng touched his head and said, "I'm not a 3-year-old child. How can I let others feed me soup? But Mew Mew, you're thoughtful. Why don't you let them go back and wipe the floor? You can feed me soup. These children are so lazy that they even sneak to the hospital. Mew Mew, do you think my big villa lacks a hostess? She has to be more dignified and not too delicate. He touched his head again and then chuckled. Mew Mew, I'll just watch you. Su Mu was speechless, but she was not surprised. She took out the soup and filled a bowl. Master Cheng did not dare to expect her to feed him personally. He grabbed the small bowl with his big hand and carefully said as if he had found a treasure, Mew Mew made this for me personally. He really cherished it very much. He drank it in small mouthfuls, as if he was drinking some kind of nectar. Su Mu sat on the small sofa, and her subordinates cleaned up the chicken soup on the ground. They mopped it more than 10 times to make sure that there was no smell. Master Cheng drank a small bowl of chicken soup with satisfaction, then looked at the dumbfounded women and glared at them. Get out of here. Can't you see that I'm going to talk business with Miss Su? Women all knew that Master Cheng didn't have any serious business. It was just the business between men and women. They were willing to do it, as long as they didn't let Su Jian, that slut, take advantage of it. Only Su Jian was not happy. Thinking that Su Mu was her sister, she stamped her feet and began to act coquettishly. Master Cheng, when my sister is here, you ignore me. Master Cheng was very concerned about his reputation in front of Su Mu. He said that Su Jian was his administrative secretary, so how could he let this slut ruin his image here? So Master Cheng signaled with his eyes, and his subordinates immediately threw Su Jian out, not giving her any face at all. The subordinates were all shrewd people, and they could see that Master Cheng only cherished this eldest Miss Su in his heart. As for the second miss, she was just to relieve Master Cheng's boredom. Master Cheng never lacked women to relieve his boredom. After the women left, Master Cheng showed what he thought was the most elegant smile. Why do you have time to look for me today? Unfortunately, I was stabbed by my enemy. It's not convenient. Otherwise, I could take you out to play. City B is very fun now. By the way, Mew Mew, I bought the place where we used to live and built a palace for fun. What do you think? This was really rich and overbearing. The demolition of B City's urban villages was worth tens of billions. Master Cheng seemed to be playing around. She knew that it was easy for him to earn money, but the way he spent money was obviously one day at a time. Su Mu thought for a moment and said, "What kind of business are you doing?" Master Cheng was stunned, then he wiped his hair again. "You don't have to worry about that. Anyway, it's a lot of money. If you follow me, you will definitely live like the Empress. During the day, the servants will serve you, and at night, I will come home to serve you. How about that?" Master Cheng was also sincere. As he spoke, he also became excited. "Bring that kid from Cymbidium Chinense over. We will have a few more children, and the family will be lively. I will build a Disneyland for the children to play. Don't children like that the most? Our children must grow up in love." His subordinates laughed so hard that they almost peed their pants. When Master Cheng chased after a woman, it had always been about money, money, money. And he was especially sincere to Miss Su, so he was the most willing to spend money. After Master Cheng finished speaking, Su Mu laughed. "Cheng Zheng, actually, it's not difficult for you to find a good woman." Chapter 51-22. I've decided on you, Master Cheng said coquettishly. He leaned against the bed and looked at Su Mu. "I don't think they're good." Su Mu was speechless. "What's wrong with that? Weren't you happy just now? You can smash things whenever you want to. Cheng Zheng, you'll feel wronged if you're with me. You won't be happy if this goes on for too long." Master Cheng chuckled. "I like it when you abuse me. You look so beautiful and cute when you're sullen. Those women don't even deserve to carry your shoes." Su Mu felt that he was getting more and more outrageous. She sighed and said, "You're not young anymore. Be more mature." Master Cheng simply held her arm and said coquettishly, "Mew Mew, don't you think I'm trying to please you?" Su Mu really couldn't stand it. She hurriedly pushed Master Cheng away and then coughed softly. "By the way, do you know where Sister Hong is? She seems to have met you before." Master Cheng had almost forgotten about Sister Hong. When he heard that, he nodded and patted the bed. She seems to be a female reporter. She's old and has a bad temper. Sumu listened and didn't refute. Master Cheng chuckled. What's wrong with that woman? How did you find me? Master Cheng remembered that he had asked his men to lock her up. He didn't know whether that woman was dead or alive. Of course, Master Cheng wouldn't tell Sumu about such a cruel thing. Besides, didn't he? He couldn't tell Sumu about it. Master Cheng still had a strong desire to live. He stretched and said, after talking for a long time, the wound hurts and I'm tired. Mew Mew, the patient needs to rest. Don't be tired. I'll see you after I leave the hospital, okay? Sumu could tell that he was doing it on purpose, so she kept her face straight and didn't say anything. Master Cheng covered the dog's head with the quilt and looked at her carefully through the gap. He still cared a lot about Sumu and was afraid that she would be angry. However, that day when he impulsively took care of that female reporter, he was injured by that female reporter. How could Sumu know about this? When he was discharged from the hospital and took care of that woman, everything would be perfectly resolved. Master Cheng felt that men should do things simply and crudely. He didn't like the way those gigolos did things. They wouldn't be successful if they were wishy-washy. However, he still felt a little guilty. He heard that the woman had a good relationship with Mew Mew. But thinking about how ruthless this woman was, it was not a pity. As long as he told his men to keep their mouths shut, no one would dare to say anything. Sumu didn't know about Master Cheng's tricks. She thought for a moment and was about to leave. At the door of the ward, she called Zhong Futsai and told him that she had asked and there was no one at Master Cheng's place. She wanted to call the police. Zhong Futsai also worked in the media. He had a feeling that if he called the police, Sister Hong would really die. He and Liu Hong had been together before. When they were young, they really loved each other. Later, they fought because of Du Meili. These years, they had been like enemies. However, he had always been worried about Sister Hong. He didn't want anything to happen to her. He was afraid that she would really be killed by someone. Zhong Futsai smoked and stopped Sumu. Don't do it now. What if you offend someone? They might kill you if you force them. It had to be said that Zhong Futsai was very meticulous. His words hit the nail on the head. Master Cheng now wanted to kill Sister Hong like a chicken. Sumu hung up the phone and was about to go to find Zhong Futsai, but when she arrived downstairs of the hospital, she saw Su Jian leaning against the wall. Chapter 51-23. Updated quickly, Su Jian leaned there, holding a cigarette in her slender hand, looking very seductive. Sumu walked over and frowned. Jian, you'd better go back. Don't follow Cheng Zheng anymore. You won't have a good ending with him. Master Cheng was loyal, but Sumu wasn't stupid. He had so many women around him, so why would he take Su Jian seriously? She was just a plaything. Su Jian was still holding the cigarette. She chuckled and blew out a smoke ring. Then, she lowered her head and played with her nails. Sister, why are you still so old-fashioned? What's wrong with me following Master Cheng? He's rich and handsome. How many women want to be by his side? I'm the one he dotes on the most now. Sumu was speechless. She felt that she couldn't be saved. She wanted to leave, but Su Jian stopped her. At this time, Su Jian only knew that Sumu was looking for Sister Hong, but she didn't know what Master Cheng was planning. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said it. She didn't have the guts to say it. Sumu stopped. Su Jian smiled. You're looking for Liu Hong, right? She wanted to destroy Master Cheng's impression in Sumu's heart. Sumu usually pretended to be pure. If she told her, she would be so disgusted that she couldn't accept Master Cheng. Su Jian fiddled with her nails and said slowly, you know, Master Cheng is in good health. He has a lot of women around him, but he always likes young ones. I don't know why he fell in love with that old woman at the bar that day. He slept with her. Why is Master Cheng hospitalized? He was stabbed by that woman. That woman is now locked up by Master Cheng. Master Cheng's temper isn't good. Think about it, He's willing to hurt the women he slept with. I heard that he hasn't eaten anything for a few days. I don't know if he's starving to death. Sumu was shocked. She didn't expect it to be like this. She stared at Su Jian, then turned around and ran to the elevator. When she opened the door of the ward, Master Cheng was nowhere to be seen. That also meant that what Su Jian said was true. Sumu dialed Master Cheng's number. On the other side, Master Cheng was sitting in a black limousine. He looked at the caller ID and cursed, "Which son of a bitch told Sumu about this? She's calling me now." He handed the phone to his subordinate. "Just say that I have something urgent and will be away for a month." The subordinate said with great difficulty and hung up the phone. Master Cheng rubbed his chin. "Looks like we can't kill that woman right away." Master Cheng thought about it. "Let's get her out first. Don't leave her in the villa and let others find her." If his precious Miu Miu saw this, he would probably ignore him. If it weren't for Su Jian, Master Cheng would have killed his future wife. Master Cheng is cruel and merciless. Except for the warmth he has for Sumu, he is cruel and merciless to others. Master Cheng went straight to the villa. When he walked to the basement, there was a strong smell. He fanned himself. "It can't be dead, right?" The subordinate whispered, "She's locked up here," and he didn't mistreat her. Master Cheng was relieved. At this time, he really didn't want that woman to die. What if Sumu really found her dead? Master Cheng opened the door and went in. Sister Hong was still alive, but she was not far from being dead. After all, she had been hungry for a few days and had hardly drunk any water. She had long been dehydrated. Master Cheng kicked her. "Stop pretending to be dead. If you're not dead, stand up." Chapter 51-24. However, Sister Hong didn't move at all. She sat on the chair with her head lowered. The subordinate went over to check. "She's alive, but she might have fainted from hunger." Master Cheng kicked over, breaking two of the subordinate's ribs on the spot. He cried out in pain but didn't dare to complain. Instead, he threw himself onto the ground and hugged Master Cheng's leg. "It's our fault. We should have taken good care of the reporter." Right after he said that, Master Cheng kicked him again. "Take good care of her. She should have either starved to death or let her go. Now that she's half dead, what should I do? I still have to take care of her." Master Cheng got angry at the thought of it. He lit a cigar and thought for a moment. Get her to a remote hospital first and find a doctor to treat her. Remember, don't create a file and don't let anyone find out. If Miss Su finds out, I'll skin you all alive. The subordinate was scared to death and immediately went to carry out his orders. He carried Sister Hong up. Unfortunately, he had broken his ribs. But what could he do when he was a subordinate? Master Cheng watched as his subordinate carried the person away. Then, he took a puff of his cigarette. At this moment, Su Jian came back. Master Cheng had a stomach full of anger and had no place to vent it. When he heard that she was back, he sneered. "She still dares to come back." Master Cheng was crude and didn't have much education. However, he was extremely smart. He could even use his toes to figure out who the culprit was. He hated traitors the most. She clearly knew that he was deeply in love with Sumu, but she still dared to ruin his plans and smear his reputation. Master Cheng licked his lips and sneered. "Tell her to come here to see me." One of the subordinates was shocked. He immediately understood that someone was going to suffer. But in his heart, he was secretly pleased. Which one of Master Cheng's subordinates didn't hate Su Jian? Just because she had slept with Master Cheng a few times, she thought of herself as his wife. At this moment, Master Cheng's little leather whip was probably waiting for that woman. Just thinking about it was exhilarating. Su Jian didn't know any of this. She only felt that it was time to get rid of Sister Hong. She didn't see anything inappropriate between her and Master Cheng in the villa for a week. In the end, after leaving the villa, she had an affair with Master Cheng in the bar. This kind of shameless old woman was a potential danger to Su Jian. Therefore, she told Sumu to ask Master Cheng for Sister Hong. However, she had underestimated Master Cheng. If Master Cheng was stupid, How could he have gotten to where he was today? When Su Jian entered, Master Cheng's belt had already been pulled out. As soon as she entered, she was tied to a chair. Su Jian screamed, "What are you doing? I'm Master Cheng's woman. Are you crazy?" One of his subordinates respectfully said, "It's because Miss Su is Master Cheng's woman that Master Cheng has to personally take care of you." Su Jian was about to go crazy. She stared at Master Cheng. "What did I do wrong?" "What?" Master Cheng sneered. "You little slut, sizing me up is an idiot. Today, Master Cheng will teach you a lesson." Master Cheng had never been soft-hearted. He could even do it to a woman. Although it wasn't a laceration, the pain was unavoidable. Su Jian lay on the bed for half a month and couldn't get out of it. On the other side, Master Cheng looked at his subordinates. "Clean up this place. Don't let anyone see. If Miss Su comes over, just say that I went out. Also, watch this slut closely. Lock her up here and starve her for 2 days. If she screams, just throw her into the mental hospital." Chapter 51-25. Updated quickly. After Master Cheng finished speaking, he straightened his clothes and said, "Give me the location of that reporter. I want to see how hard her bones are. Is my belt more powerful than her skin and flesh more powerful?" The subordinate felt that Master Cheng was too cruel, beating people all day long. He whispered, "If that woman was whipped like she was just now, she would definitely be dead." Master Cheng said stubbornly, "If she's dead, then she's dead. Do you think I'm afraid she's dead?" The subordinate said carefully, "Aren't you afraid that Miss Su will find out?" Master Cheng cares about Miss Su. Whether that woman is dead or alive, Master Cheng doesn't care at all. Besides, it's just a matter of a few people. It's not a big deal. For Master Cheng, it's as easy as pinching a little chick to death. Master Cheng liked to hear this. He touched his head and said, "Of course. I just pity her, and I don't want your sister-in-law to be unhappy." Su Jian almost vomited blood when she heard this. What did Master Cheng think of her? Master Cheng didn't care what she was thinking. He dragged her away and left the villa. On the other side, Su Mu rushed to the villa. Of course, she couldn't find anything. Moreover, Master Cheng wasn't here, so she couldn't cause trouble here. Su Mu had to leave to find Zhong Futsai. The Sun newspaper. Zhong Futsai hadn't left yet. He was smoking in his office. His worried look made Du Meili very unhappy. Who knew that Sister Hong was missing? Now, everyone in the society was saying that Sister Hong was Zhong Futsai's true love. Du Meili was very embarrassed. At this time, Su Mu pushed the door open and came in. She was in a hurry. Hearing the footsteps, Zhong Futsai immediately came out and asked, "How is it?" Su Mu shook her head and said, "Cheng Zheng is avoiding me. He won't see me at all. I think Sister Hong must be in his hands." Zhong Futsai let out a long breath and said, "I'll go find him." "He's hiding. You won't be able to find him." Su Mu pursed her lips and said, "There shouldn't be any danger. I'll talk to Cheng Zheng again. He will give me some face." Although that was what he said, Zhong Futsai still cared about his ex-wife. Besides, he really didn't believe that Cheng Zheng would go on a business trip. A patient would go on a business trip with an injury. He suddenly remembered that Sister Hong had offended him, which was why he had locked her up. When he thought of this, he wanted to retreat. Zhong Futsai couldn't hold it in anymore. He wanted to go to the club to look for Master Cheng. Master Cheng really returned to the club at night. She had been cooped up in the hospital for a few days. Just now, she went to the hospital to have a look. Although the woman was half dead, she wouldn't die. He felt relieved and decided to come out to have some fun first before thinking about how to deal with that woman. Negotiate terms. He definitely couldn't let Su Mu know that he had slept with Sister Hong. However, if he spent money on her, wouldn't that destroy his prestige? Whip her with a belt to make her behave? Or was it a honey trap to make her submit to him, just like Su Jian? Master Cheng was very confident in himself. Nodding his head, he felt that the best option was feasible. Although this woman was a little old, she tasted good and strong. However, she was half dead. When would she be able to jump around? Master Cheng was a little dissatisfied. Master Cheng was definitely a carnivore. Just as he was thinking about it, his subordinate said that a fat man came to look for his wife. When he asked, he found out that the fat man was also looking for Sister Hong. Master Cheng tapped his fingers and stretched. I haven't exercised for a long time. You came at the right time. He didn't really beat up Sister Hong, but this fat man was sent here for him to teach him a lesson. Master Cheng thought about it and smiled. Invite Chief Editor Zhong in. He ordered in a low voice and asked someone to bring 2 young girls in. Chapter 51-26. Zhong Futsai entered the private room and saw Master Cheng sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed. 2 young girls were busy serving Master Cheng, pouring wine and massaging his legs. Zhong Futsai let out a long sigh in his heart. This kind of life was his dream. He had something to ask of Master Cheng. He was afraid and envious at the same time, so his mood was particularly complicated. Master Cheng glanced at him and waved his hand to let the girls go to the side. He took a big cigar and glanced at Zhong Futsai again. Editor-in-Chief Zhong had been in the industry for a long time, so he knew how to do this. He immediately went over and lit a cigar for Master Cheng. Master Cheng was quite polite. Editor-in-Chief Zhong, do you want one? Editor-in-Chief Zhong didn't dare to smoke Master Cheng's cigarette. He quickly waved his hand. I don't need it, I don't need it. Master Cheng sat there and let the girls sing. When the song was over, Master Cheng would heavily reward the girls who sang well. His generosity amazed Editor-in-Chief Zhong. This was life. Although he was envious, Editor-in-Chief Zhong still didn't forget about his ex-wife. He carefully asked, Master Cheng, I know Liu Hong offended you. Master Cheng, for my sake, why don't you let it go? Liu Hong. That female reporter. Master Cheng chuckled. Editor-in-Chief Zhong, I don't know where that female reporter is. Last time, she stayed at my villa for a week. Could it be that she couldn't bear to part with me and ran away? These words made Zhong Futsai feel bad. After all, she used to be his woman. Now, it was said by another man in a very casual tone, and it even involved the relationship between men and women. However, Zhong Futsai didn't dare to say anything. He still had a smile on his face to accompany this king of hell. Master Cheng smiled and took a puff of his cigar. He looked fascinated. Editor-in-Chief Zhong, do you want to compete with the girls on the same stage? Zhong Futsai's heart skipped a beat. He didn't know what Master Cheng meant. Master Cheng puffed out a ring of smoke. I heard that you don't have a good relationship with your ex-wife. Reporter Liu found out that you brought her home, so she beat Editor-in-Chief Zhong up. Is there such a thing? Zhong Futsai was so annoyed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. Master Cheng added, you've already shed all pretense of cordiality, yet you still came to look for her. Zhong Futsai said with a trembling voice, we're husband and wife after all. Master Cheng glanced at him and smiled. She and I are considered husband and wife. What do you say? These words made Zhong Futsai feel especially uncomfortable. When he and Liu Hong separated, it was true that both sides wanted to kill each other. At that time, he was immersed in Du Meili's soft jade fragrance, and after a long time, he got married, but his heart was still thinking about Liu Hong. From the bottom of his heart, he still loved Liu Hong. It was rare for Zhong Futsai to have some backbone. He said in a cold voice, she and I are legally married. Legal? Master Cheng was holding a box of Beauty's Match in his hand. He squinted his eyes and looked at it. After a while, he laughed softly. Then do you know how many illegal things she has done? It seems like you haven't gotten over it yet. Let me tell you, reporter Liu's private life is a mess. Do you know that she looks for little fresh meat in the bar? Editor-in-Chief Zhong, is it because of your poor health that reporter Liu wants to divorce you? Zhong Futsai was so angry that all the fat on his body was shaking. Seeing that he was angry, Master Cheng was quite happy. Anyway, I've tasted it. Sigh, it's a stunning beauty. I really can't tell from her appearance. It's a pity that reporter Liu has a big problem. I won't be able to taste it in the future. Chapter 51-27. These unpleasant words made Zhong Futsai unable to bear it anymore. He cursed and wanted to fight with Master Cheng. Wasn't this like hitting a rock with a small egg? Who was Master Cheng? His body was full of muscles and Zhong Futsai's fat body was shaking when he swung his arm. That scene was too beautiful. Master Cheng kicked him, and Zhong Futsai fell to the ground like a dead pig. Master Cheng sat down again and smoked his big cigar. He sneered, "The last person who dared to provoke me was long gone to the deep sea to feed the fish. It's just a damn fatty like you." One of his subordinates whispered, "Master Cheng, this fatty doesn't seem to be able to take a beating. Is he going to die?" Master Cheng chuckled, "That's true. He can't even beat a woman. If I were you, I would be so embarrassed." Master Cheng stood up, walked in front of him, and squatted down. He reached out and patted Zhong Futsai's pig face, which was full of alcohol, sex, wealth, and anger. He chuckled, "What I hate the most is married men bringing women home. Before they got married, they played around with women. But after getting married, it's your fault for playing around with women. Now, you're pretending to come to your ex-wife. Don't you laugh at me?" Master Cheng wasn't satisfied with his words, and he even kicked Zhong Futsai. Zhong Futsai was especially embarrassed and angry. He couldn't get up from the ground for a long time. He howled, "I was going easy on her." Although he was so ashamed and resentful, Zhong Futsai still softened his posture and said in a low voice, "No matter what, Liu Hong is a woman and her temper isn't very good. If she has offended you in any way, please forgive her." Master Cheng nodded with satisfaction. "That sounds like something a man would say. But she's not here, so it's useless for you to be so submissive. Go take a look somewhere else. Maybe reporter Liu is doing her hair with some wild man." He waved his hand and asked the girl to continue singing. Master Cheng was bored. He didn't think it was fun anymore. Who knew that this stupid pig would be so devoted to that woman? What was so good about that woman? Her personality wasn't good, and she was boring. She was just like a dead person. Master Cheng felt that it was a miracle that someone liked her. Of course, her hair skills were good. Just thinking about it made Master Cheng excited. He couldn't wait to get rid of this damn fatty. He got up and said meaningfully, "If Chief Editor Zhong wants to play, I'll pay for all the expenses here. Play as much as you want." He was about to leave, but Zhong Futsai knelt down with a plop. Everyone present was dumbfounded. There were quite a lot of people who begged Master Cheng, and there were also a lot of people who knelt down. But this was the chief editor of a big newspaper. How could he kneel down just like that? Moreover, it was for his ex-wife, an ex-wife who had fought with him. Master Cheng also found it interesting. He scratched his head and asked, "What is the meaning of this, Chief Editor Zhong?" Zhong Futsai lowered his head. His voice was soft but firm. "Master Cheng, I know that Liu Hong offended you. In the future, I will tell her not to offend Master Cheng. Please let her go. As for me, Master Cheng can do whatever he wants." Master Cheng laughed. He looked to his left and right. "What can I do with this fatty?" The manager secretly laughed. "I'm afraid nothing will work." Master Cheng kicked him. "You heard me. There's no point in keeping you. It's a waste of food. Drag him out, drag him out. Staying here is too unsightly. It's not a good influence." After saying that, Master Cheng ignored him and walked out of the room. He wanted to go take a look at the big reporter now. He couldn't wait. Chapter 51-28. Memorize. After Master Cheng left, Zhong Futsai immediately followed him. He started the small motor and followed Master Cheng's Maybach. Master Cheng closed his eyes and rested in the car. Xiao Li, who was in front, said, "Master, there's a car following us." Master Cheng smiled and picked up the phone to call one of his men. "Are you guys blind? Didn't you see that fatty was following my car and forced his car to stop? If he still doesn't know what's good for him, he'll just crash onto the road. Whether he lives or dies will depend on his luck." The cars following Master Cheng were all big guys. The two cars flanked Zhong Futsai from the front and back. The poor little car was almost flattened. Master Cheng sat in the car and turned around to take a look. Then he shook his head and sighed. Are all ex-husbands these days so infatuated? This fatty was too spineless. Yi Xiangnan, that pretty boy, had much more self-respect. He wouldn't kneel and beg like this fatty. Thinking about that gigolo, Master Cheng felt a surge of anger. After all, he was a love rival. He even made Su Mu pregnant with his child. Thinking about the process of making a child, Master Cheng became even angrier. His woman had been eaten by that brat first. Master Cheng might be angry, but to a certain extent, Master Cheng was also an extremely shrewd and meticulous person. Yi Xiangnan was not someone he could touch. At the very least, no one had dared to touch a single hair of the Yi family in the last 20 years. With that person from the Wen family above, Yi Xiangnan could go anywhere he wanted. Moreover, with the Wen and Yi families combined, in this generation, Yi Xiangnan was the most outstanding. Thinking about that gigolo, Master Cheng had to admit that the man's methods were extremely powerful. He definitely didn't rely on his family, and he definitely didn't rely on his face. He didn't show any mercy when it came to harvesting leeks. Looking at the current Bee City, only Shenting could compare to him in terms of blackness. However, Shenting had recently gotten married and had become a lot more Buddhist. Yi Xiangnan, on the other hand, had become a lot more strange. It was probably due to the imbalance of yin and yang. As Master Cheng thought about it, he drove the car to an extremely secretive private hospital. As a man who lived on the edge of a knife, Master Cheng naturally had some connections. When the car stopped, Master Cheng swaggered into the ward. Sister Hong had already woken up. The main reason was that her electrolyte levels were in a mess. After a transfusion, she was much better, but she was still very weak. However, Master Cheng was interested, so he didn't care if she was weak or not. After some contact, Sister Hong pushed the shameless man away and glared at him. Do you know how I survived? Master Cheng did not mind. Anyway, it was good that she was alive. In the future, he could still do his hair with her. Sister Hong's hairstyling skills were pretty good. The taste just now was not bad. It was delicious enough. Master Cheng wanted to try again. Sister Hong was about to go crazy. She hadn't washed her face or brushed her teeth for a few days. Her hair was like withered grass. How many lifetimes had this man not had a woman? Moreover, what kind of woman did he not have in his big villa? Sister Hong's expression was indescribable. You bastard, I haven't had any water for 4 days. How do you think I survived? Master Cheng was dumbstruck. This woman drank that? Master Cheng had always been a man who wouldn't bat an eyelid in front of Mount Tai. At this moment, he couldn't help but run to the washroom. No wonder he had felt a strange smell just now. He had thought that it was the coquettish nature of a famous reporter. So it was really coquettish. Fuck. When Master Cheng came out of the washroom, his face was extremely dark. He had brushed his teeth 5 times, but he still felt that it wasn't enough. Moreover, he had thought of never touching this woman again. She was too dirty. My heart aches for Master Cheng tilde. Chapter 51-29. Master Cheng's face was extremely dark, but Sister Hong was feeling pretty good. She couldn't wait to kill this man. When she gets out, Master Cheng seemed to have seen through her inner thoughts. He sneered and took out a big cigar. He looked at her and said, I advise you to put away that thought. Without my permission, you won't be able to get out. Sister Hong glared at him. Master Cheng leaned forward and sneered, Sister Ma Itu, how can you stand this smell? It's so pungent. Why don't you brush your teeth? Sister Hong sneered. Master Cheng's heart cursed. This woman was so sinister. She knew what he would do to her, so she purposely stunk him to death. Master Cheng couldn't help but say, Don't worry, an ugly woman like you only needs to have your hair done once. You have a bad temper and are extremely fierce. If you didn't hurt me, I would have locked you up. Su Mu is looking for you, so I'm in a difficult position. It's not good to kill you, but it's not good to keep you. If you were prettier, I could have used you to do my hair. But you're so ugly and stinky, isn't it a waste of money for me to keep you? Master Cheng was very angry. Whenever he was angry, He would talk a lot. "Oh right, your fat ex-husband is looking for you." Master Cheng didn't care. He lit a cigar in the ward and said, "Fatty is quite concerned about you. Aren't you touched?" "Oh right, I told him about your date with the little fresh meat. I also told him that we had our hair done." Master Cheng grinned. "Is it new? Does it irritate the big reporter?" Sister Hong was simply too impressed with this man. Did this man use his toes to get to where he was today? He was so, simply too amazing. She ignored him and covered her head with the blanket. She knew in her heart that he wouldn't let her off so easily. He might really kill her like a chicken, but he was afraid that Su Mu would be angry. Sister Hong sneered in her heart. This kind of man actually had a conscience and someone he cared about. He didn't deserve to like Su Mu. No matter how rich he was just an uneducated man. While Sister Hong was thinking about this, Master Cheng spoke again. His voice was light as a feather. "By the way, your ex-husband knelt down for you and almost cried. He wanted to save you. Are you touched? It's a pity that you can't see his infatuation." Sister Hong was still using the blanket to cover her head, but her fingers were clenched very tightly. Her lips trembled in shock. She knew that Zhong Futsai was a selfish and petty person. A very cunning man. She had hated him in the past, but that was a long time ago. She had thought that he would hate her, but someone like him had knelt down just to save her. He was clearly a timid person. It was impossible that he hadn't heard of Cheng Zheng's name. Sister Hong didn't say anything, but she started crying. It wasn't because he was moved, but because he felt that things had remained the same, but people had changed. When they were young, they had a good time. Later, she felt that her sincerity had been fed to a dog, and Zhong Futsai had been removed from her life. But now, she felt that she had not loved him in vain, and that man was not as cowardly as she had imagined. He could be considered a man. Just as she buried her head and cried, the blanket was lifted. Master Cheng stared at her tearful face and said unhappily, "You're so touched by a weakling. Are you thinking of getting out alive to do your hair with him?" In Master Cheng's heart, men and women were just like that. There was no need to talk about love. Chapter 51:30. Sister Hong suddenly pulled the quilt away and slapped Master Cheng hard. Sister Hong suddenly pulled the quilt away and slapped Master Cheng's face. Although she was weak, this slap wasn't. Master Cheng was dumbfounded. Master Cheng was dumbfounded. Master Cheng was furious. How dare she hit him? Did this woman want to die? At this time, she still dared to hit him. Did she know that he wanted to kill her as if she was a chicken? In a rage, Master Cheng also hit her. The slap made Sister Hong's ears ring again. Master Cheng never held back when he hit women. He always treated women like men. Master Cheng hit her in a rage. Sister Hong lay there for a long time without moving. Master Cheng went to pull her hair. It was quite rude, but when he pulled it, he found that she had fainted. Damn, she was so weak. Master Cheng was furious. He didn't want to care about this woman's life or death. He smoked his cigar and was about to leave, but after a few steps, he touched his head again. If Miu Miu finds out that I killed her friend, will she blame me? Thinking about this, he turned back and pressed the bell. His voice was as loud as a bell. "Are the doctors and nurses shit? Hurry up and give her first aid." The doctors and nurses here were also unlucky. In the past, Master Cheng had a hole in his body and came to look for trouble. Now, he had injured someone and came to look for trouble again. This woman was also a pitiful woman. After Master Cheng played with her, she was starved for a few days. Thinking about it made him feel miserable. Master Cheng didn't care. He only wanted her alive. He wanted to leave at first. He had already done his duty. If she died, it had nothing to do with him. He was not a doctor. But later, he touched her head and stayed. There was no big problem with Sister Hong, but she was too weak. After the first aid, the doctor sincerely persuaded Master Cheng, "Master Cheng, you can't hit her casually in the future. If you hit her again, her ears will probably have problems. If she can't hear, she will be considered disabled." Master Cheng was unhappy. Then when I want to vent my anger, will you hit her for me? The doctor was speechless. Was he still a man who hit a woman? Master Cheng didn't care. Anyway, this woman provoked him first. There was still a hole in his body. This woman was too ruthless. It was already merciful of him not to kill her. He only hit her a few times, and it was still light. Delicate. If she couldn't take a beating, she wasn't fit to be his woman. Master Cheng stayed behind and even found a nurse to entertain himself. The nurse thought highly of herself and was unwilling at first. Master Cheng took 100,000 and won her over. One had to admit that Master Cheng's money was sometimes omnipotent. When Sister Hong woke up, the first thing she heard was the sound, followed by the visual impact. She closed her eyes and swore that Cheng Zheng was the most shameless man she had ever met. Was he any different from a beast? Sister Hong closed her eyes. Can't you spend some money to find a room outside? It was really an eyesore. That woman was willing to do it. Master Cheng didn't have the time to pay attention to her since he was overjoyed. About half an hour later, Master Cheng finally sent the nurse away and looked at the woman on the bed. You're just jealous of her. Sister Hong laughed angrily. I'm jealous of her. Master Cheng came over and said shamelessly, I know you can't forget that taste, right? Brush your toothbrush and I'll reward you. Sister Hong really wanted to give him a big slap. This was too shameless. Master Cheng wouldn't think that she was shameless and think that she was doing him a favor. The nurse just now was young and beautiful with a good figure. However, she wasn't as good as the big reporter. Master Cheng suspected that his taste had changed. In the past, he didn't like old women. After Master Cheng said that, he looked at Sister Hong passionately. He was quite confident that as long as he was willing, there was no woman he couldn't get. Wasn't Sister Hong quite happy last time? She didn't mean what she said. She obviously liked him, but she pretended that she didn't like him. Big reporters were so pretentious. She probably despised him for being uncouth, but he was rich. Master Cheng suddenly thought of an idea. He coughed lightly and said, "Oh right, let's talk. Let's have a friendly talk." Sister Hong probably guessed what he wanted to do. She smiled coldly and said, "We have nothing to talk about." Master Cheng smiled as well. Monthly contract, 5 million a month. Deal? No. Sister Hong was very straightforward. She wasn't for sale. Master Cheng smiled, revealing his beautiful snow-white teeth. He smoked a cigar. 10 million a month. Think about it, big reporter. With your looks and age, there's a man who's willing to spend a lot of money to support you. You'll be happy even in your dreams. With a physique like mine, you should be the one spending money. Master Cheng was really shameless to the extreme. Sumu really couldn't stand him anymore. He turned his head and said, "You think you're so great just because you have some money?" Master Cheng leaned over and found it interesting. He blew a puff of smoke on her face. "My most valuable thing isn't money, huh?" Chapter 51-31. Master Cheng leaned over and felt that it was interesting. He puffed a mouthful of smoke on her face. "My most valuable thing is not money, huh?" He puffed another mouthful of smoke. Looking at her uncomfortable expression, he smiled happily. To conquer a woman, money was good enough. No matter how bad-tempered a woman was, her knees would go soft at the sight of money. No woman was an exception, except for his Miu Miu. Master Cheng had always thought that Grandpa Marrow was useful, and he had investigated this big reporter. He was not a person who did not love money, and he also had a lot of dark history. Sister Hong looked at him angrily. "Cheng Jing, do you think money is omnipotent?" "In my opinion, women are omnipotent. If 10 million isn't enough, then 20 million. Tell me a number, but I advise you not to be too greedy. There are many women outside begging me to dote on them." Master Cheng was proud. Sister Hong ignored him and gritted her teeth. "Lunatic, you're crazy. You're a pervert." Master Cheng's expression immediately turned ugly. He glared at Sister Hong. "You really refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit." No matter what, she was lying down now, and he couldn't kill her. Master Cheng returned to B City's downtown area and arrived at his big villa. He didn't care that Su Jian's injuries were not light and just ran amok. Su Jian was also a cheap wretch. She had been beaten with a belt before, and now that Master Cheng had lit a lamp for her, she was actually willing to serve Master Cheng with her injuries. Master Cheng was very happy, and he immediately rewarded her with a big villa. Women should be like this, obedient, and be beaten and scolded. That woman, Liu Hong, was too unreasonable. She dared to fight back when he hit her, and she was quite strong. Master Cheng had been around for so many years, and he had only been injured by his enemies, but he had never been beaten by a woman to the hospital. She had even poked a small hole in his stomach. Master Cheng could not be bothered with Sister Hong now. He asked someone to keep an eye on her. As long as she didn't die, it would be fine. If she made a scene, she would be locked up in a mental hospital. Master Cheng had always been so domineering when dealing with things. On the other side, Zhong Fucai was beaten and frightened by Master Cheng. He actually went to the hospital. Su Mu went to see him. It wasn't because she was concerned about Zhong Fucai, but mainly because she was worried about Hong Jie. Zhong Fucai's little wife was here. She was a very honest girl, completely different from Du Meili. Su Mu only felt that it was a pity. Zhong Fucai's wife was still around, so Du Meili sat on the bed like the hostess and fed Zhong Fucai apples. She spoke softly and slowly, and Zhong Fucai looked quite touched. Su Mu went over to talk for a while. When Zhong Fucai mentioned Sister Hong, he was a little absent-minded. Then, he suddenly said, Liu Hong is definitely with Master Cheng. Even if you beg him, he will pretend not to know. There's nothing we can do about him. Because Master Cheng didn't want her to know, she could only ask Yi Xiangnan for help. The Yi family and the Wen family had a close relationship. When Editor-in-Chief Zhong said this, Su Mu said softly, I understand. At this time, she almost couldn't think about how embarrassing it would be to see Yi Xiangnan, and what kind of expression he would show her when she begged him. Because she had no other choice. She looked for Cheng Zheng, but Cheng Zheng didn't want to see her. She even looked for Su Jian, but Su Jian changed her attitude from before and directly said she didn't know. Su Mu had no other choice. She could only look for Yi Xiangnan. When she went out, Du Meili followed her out. Du Meili looked proud of herself. Now that Sister Hong's whereabouts were unknown, she could do whatever she wanted in the news agency. If there were no accidents, she would also be in charge of the news agency. Du Meili was especially proud of herself. She couldn't wait for Sister Hong to explode and never come back. In the elevator, Du Meili said arrogantly, Su Mu, why are you so stupid? Is Liu Hong worth your sacrifice? If CEO Yi makes things difficult for you, don't blame me for not reminding you. CEO Yi was very unhappy when you rejected CEO Yi before. Now, I don't know how to humiliate you. Besides, when Master Cheng pursued you in such a high profile, CEO Yi was probably wondering if you were having an affair with him. Normal people would hide from him, but you, on the other hand, kept trying to get close to him. Are you stupid? Su Mu looked down at her toes and smiled. If only everyone was like Deputy Editor-in-Chief, the world would be at peace. Du Meili also heard the mockery in her words. She snorted and took out a mirror to tidy herself up. Don't be afraid that I didn't remind you. When the time comes, it will be too late to cry. Yi Xiangnan is not a man with a good temper, especially when you have been with so many men and made him wear so many green hats. Su Mu didn't want to pay attention to this woman. This woman was crazy. As soon as the elevator door opened, she went out, stopped a taxi and went directly to the headquarters of Stars Entertainment. This time, she didn't go in as freely as before. The receptionist stopped her and called her Miss Su. Miss Su, who in the company are you looking for? Su Mu pursed her lips. I want to see Yi Xiangnan. No, you're CEO Yi. The receptionist was still smiling sweetly. CEO Yi is in a meeting. How about I help you pass the message and CEO Yi will see you when he is free? What do you think? The receptionist was very polite. Su Mu knew that she couldn't ask for too much with her current identity, so she sat on the sofa in the hall and waited. The receptionist poured her a cup of hot tea. The service was very considerate. Su Mu said thank you and waited patiently. She waited from 1 to 4 in the afternoon, but there was still no movement. The receptionist was a little embarrassed. "Miss Su, let me help you call CEO Yi to ask if the meeting is over." After that, she dialed the number of Secretary Lee on the top floor. After passing through the third secretary and the second secretary, she finally reached Secretary Lee. After inquiring, she knew that CEO Yi had left the company for half an hour. The receptionist was very sorry to Su-mu and said that CEO Yi had left. "How about Miss Su contact CEO Yi privately?" Su-mu said thank you and was about to leave. A voice came from the elevator. "Wait a minute, Su-mu." Su-mu turned her head and saw Secretary Lee walking towards her. She forced a smile. "What's wrong?" Secretary Lee sighed, then pulled her aside and whispered, "CEO Yi went to this club to discuss business with someone. He will finish at about 8 o'clock. You can wait outside. You know his car." With that, she gave a small note to her. Su-mu said thank you in a low voice. Secretary Lee whispered again, "I know you are here to ask CEO Yi about reporter Liu. CEO Yi has been in a bad mood recently. Especially, he may not like you very much. Be careful. Don't let him get anything on you." Su-mu nodded. At this time, she couldn't think about herself. She couldn't feel at ease if Sister Hong couldn't find her. When Su-mu arrived at the club, the lights on the street were already on and the sky was full of neon lights. Chapter 51-32. Su-mu did see Yi Xiangnan's car at the entrance of the club. She stood in front of the car and waited. The night was cold. Even though she was wearing thick clothes, she still felt cold without food. She didn't dare to eat as she was afraid that he would suddenly leave. She didn't want to go to the villa to look for him. She was afraid that Cymbidium Chinense would be embarrassed if he saw her. She waited until 8 o'clock, but he still didn't come out. Later, it was almost 10 o'clock. Su-mu couldn't take it anymore. She walked to the entrance of the club and asked if CEO Yi was in. The doorman saw her and asked cautiously who she was to CEO Yi. Su-mu thought for a moment and said that she was the mother of CEO Yi's child. The doorman immediately understood. However, they couldn't just let anyone in. Since it was CEO Yi's acquaintance, he still had to inform him. The doorman entered the most luxurious room. There were about 4 to 5 men having fun. They weren't talking about business. CEO Yi was carrying a young lady in his arms. The young lady was quite understanding. She knew how to make people happy and she didn't dare to do anything that would make CEO Yi unhappy. The doorman came in and told them that a Miss Su wanted to see CEO Yi. Yi Xiangnan looked up and glanced at the person with his long and narrow eyes. "What Miss Su? I don't know her. Let her go." The doorman could tell that CEO Yi obviously knew her. Besides, the woman outside the door didn't look like she would lie. But no matter what, CEO Yi was of high status. If he said that he didn't know her, it could only be that he didn't know her. He went out to tell Su-mu. Su-mu bit her lower lip. "I'll wait here. Thank you." The doorman tactfully told her that she could only wait outside. Su-mu could only wait outside. The winter night in B City was -7 or 8 degrees Celsius. Her face was purple from the cold. She couldn't stop stomping her feet. Yi Xiangnan seemed to be in a particularly good mood tonight. He didn't come out until 12 o'clock. No matter how stupid Su-mu was, she could guess that he was definitely not talking about business. He was most likely having fun. She felt an inexplicable bitterness in her heart, but now she forced herself not to think about it. No matter how uncomfortable it was, she had to beg him, even in such an unbearable situation. Standing there, Su-mu was actually very inconspicuous. At least, she was extremely inconspicuous compared to the girls coming and going here. She was also dressed very ordinarily, but there was no lack of drunken customers messing around. As soon as they saw a woman standing on the roadside, they thought that it was something. They pulled at each other and asked for money to buy Su-mu, saying that it was 2,000 yuan, which was extremely unpleasant and unbearable. They couldn't afford to offend any of the customers here, and the doorman didn't dare to help them openly. However, he had guessed the relationship between Su-mu and Yi Xiangnan. If something happened to Su Mu in front of their door and caused a scandal, their clubhouse would be torn down tomorrow. After weighing the pros and cons, he immediately rushed in and said the matter before he knocked on the door. Outside the door, when they were still pulling at each other, a very lazy voice came from the hall of the clubhouse. "Who's so noisy?" The drunk customer was not too drunk. He actually recognized Yi Xiangnan and said with a flattering smile, "Boss Yi, I just saw a good-looking woman, but she's not very generous. She actually didn't want to. I can spend 10,000 yuan on her, but she won't." Su Mu shook him off, feeling very embarrassed. If it were usual, she would have left long ago, but she couldn't leave at this time. She pulled her hair to one side and lowered her head. Yi Xiangnan looked at her and smiled. Then he said to the man, "Boss Wang has bad taste and is not very good-looking. Pick one from the clubhouse and take her away. I'll pay for Boss Wang." Chapter 51-33. If it was someone else, they would have known better, but CEO Wang was drunk and thought that he was on the same level as the Honorable CEO Yi. He smiled and said, "How can I let CEO Yi spend money? I want this woman and I will take her away no matter how much it costs. If 10,000 isn't enough, 100,000. CEO Wang threw out the money and almost threw it on Su Mu's face. Su Mu was embarrassed. She bit her lips and lowered her eyes, not saying a word. Director Wang wanted to pull him back again, but in the next second, his cumbersome body was kicked away. Director Wang wailed and then lay on the ground like a dead pig. Yi Xiangnan said coldly, "Do you know why I hit you?" CEO Wang was confused. CEO Wang didn't understand, but the people around him gave him a hint. CEO Yi's ex-wife. Was CEO Yi a busybody? I gave you face, but you still spent 100,000 to buy his ex-wife. Even if CEO Yi had nothing to do with anyone now, he still had a son. The future CEO Yi would have to be thick-skinned. Just based on this point, CEO Yi would never allow his ex-wife to be with someone else so casually. 100,000? Don't make me laugh. Master Cheng, do you know about Master Cheng? Last time, he spent 10 billion but she didn't agree. He was courting and wanted to get married. Your 100,000 was just to send a beggar away. The title of CEO Yi's ex-wife was worth more than that. Yi Xiangnan stared at CEO Wang and smiled coldly, "Do as you see fit." CEO Wang was used to being arrogant, but he was like a dog in front of Yi Xiangnan. Everyone knew about CEO Yi's means. CEO Wang was scared out of his wits. He knelt on the ground and shivered. Yi Xiangnan kicked him again to vent his anger. "Get lost." CEO Wang was gone, completely gone. Yi Xiangnan looked at Su Mu again and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. "Miss Su, do you need something from me?" The men who were having fun with him left first. They wanted to give them some space, but Yi Xiangnan asked them to wait for a while. Then, he followed them in. Su Mu was afraid that he would go in and not come out, so she quickly called him, "Yi Xiangnan." Yi Xiangnan turned his head and quietly looked at her for a while before saying softly, "Do you have something to ask of me?" Although she was humiliated, she still nodded. Yi Xiangnan sneered, "You sure are enthusiastic about other people's business." After saying that, he ignored her and walked straight inside. Su Mu couldn't care less about anything else. She ran over and pulled his arm. He tilted his head and looked at her, his eyes cold. "Come to my office at 10 tomorrow. I don't have time to see you now." Su Mu was stunned for a moment, and then her hand loosened. He had already entered. It was meaningless for Su Mu to wait any longer. She could only go back first. She didn't sleep well last night, so she got up early in the morning. There was a voice message from Cymbidium Chinense on her phone. Her voice was particularly soft and cute, saying that she missed her mother. Su Mu felt very upset when she heard that. She took the bus to the headquarters of Stars Entertainment after eating breakfast. It was the same receptionist from yesterday, but today, she probably had some instructions. She smiled and said, "Miss Su, please wait in the small conference room on the top floor. CEO Yi has a meeting in the morning. It should be over soon." Another meeting. Su Mu nodded and went up. Unexpectedly, she met Shen Wenshuan in the elevator. Shun Wenshuan was also quite surprised. He had probably guessed why she was here. The news of Liu Hong's disappearance was quite fierce outside. It was the news released by Zhong Fucai. He didn't dare to call the police, but he was still good at using the power of the media. However, Master Cheng was a man who never fell for this. Now, he could only beg Yi Xiangnan. When Shun Wenshuan and Su Mu met, things remained the same, but the people had changed. They didn't have much to say to each other, and they were even trying to avoid arousing suspicion. When they got out of the elevator, Shun Wenshuan sighed. Su Mu, if you really want to save Liu Hong, soften your stance. CEO Yi's temper hasn't been very good recently. It wasn't only one person who said this to her. It seemed that CEO Yi was really in a bad mood. Su Mu nodded. At this moment, Secretary Li came over and said in a low voice, "Go to the conference room and wait. Su Mu, you have to be prepared. It won't be easy for CEO Yi to see you." The dogman knew that Su Mu had a request. Wasn't he going to put on airs? Su Mu also knew her situation. She could only wait. Her heart was very anxious, but there was no other way. She could only wait. After waiting for the whole morning, he still didn't see her. At noon, Secretary Li sent a lunchbox over. He didn't mean to say much, and Su Mu knew that. In the afternoon, Su Mu spent a long time. At 5 o'clock, she couldn't help running to the door of Yi Xiangnan's office. She opened the door and said, "Yi Xiangnan." He was talking to a very elegant lady. They were sitting on the sofa drinking coffee. There were 2 documents in their hands. It seemed that they were talking about a contract. Su Mu recognized that the lady was the most famous movie queen of Stars Entertainment. She didn't know how to get out of the situation. At this time, Secretary Li came over and said, "I was wrong. I thought CEO Yi was free." But these words couldn't do anything. How could Yi Xiangnan not know? And Su Mu's angry face explained everything. Yi Xiangnan said a few words to the movie queen, and they would talk about the contract another day. After sending them away, he looked at Su Mu and said, "For Liu Hong?" "Yes," Su Mu said softly. Secretary Li smiled and said, "I'll pour a cup of coffee for Miss Su." However, Yi Xiangnan said, "No need. You go out and close the door. By the way, Secretary Li's bonus this month will be deducted." Secretary Li wanted to cry, but thinking of the pigeon egg he got last time, he didn't feel so sad. Chapter 51-34. After Secretary Li left, Yi Xiangnan looked at Su Mu and smiled faintly. "Sit." Su Mu didn't want to sit, but he didn't seem to be in a hurry. He drank his coffee and his gaze fell on her face as if he was thinking about something. There was a touch of contempt in his gaze. Su Mu was pierced by that gaze. She stood there and couldn't say a word. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly and put the exquisite coffee cup on the coffee table. Then, he looked at her and said, "Are you unhappy that I purposely didn't want to see you?" His words were really straightforward and impolite. Su Mu simply didn't have the face to stand there. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly. "Although I don't really like Cheng Zheng, Su Mu, I'm a businessman. You know how powerful Cheng Zheng is in B City, right? Why should I make things difficult for him for a woman who has nothing to do with me? Don't you think so?" "Yes," Su Mu said softly. As she said that, her body swayed slightly. She was especially embarrassed. She had a feeling that the following conversation wouldn't be very pleasant. Sure enough, Yi Xiangnan stood up and walked to her side. He said faintly, "Miss Su, think about it. Is there anything about you that's worth my investment? Or, is there something that's worth my investment?" He said in a low and hoarse voice. There was a hint of frivolity in his voice. Su Mu couldn't stand it. She took a step back and fell on the sofa. Yi Xiaonan was standing right in front of her, looking down on her. Su Mu pursed her lips and instinctively moved back. Yi Xiangnan smiled. "You're afraid." He reached out and pinched her chin. "What are you afraid of? You're not a little girl anymore." She could guess what he wanted, but she didn't know whether he meant today, a month, or longer. Yi Xiaonan looked at her face and smiled. She suddenly walked to the desk and threw a bunch of keys at her. Go find Secretary Lee and ask the driver to take you there. Remember, I don't like to force people. If you're willing, then do it. If not, then get out of here immediately." He spoke very rudely, and his tone was as if he was talking to a woman outside. Sumu knew that he was angry. He was angry that she always meddled in other people's business. He was angry that she made a mess of herself and was not worthy of being the mother of the Cymbidium chinense. She lowered her eyes, and a trace of absent-mindedness flashed across her eyes. After a long time, she said softly, "I'll go." "I'm not surprised." Yi Xiangnan put his hands in front of him and said coldly, "If you go now, I don't like smelly women. Wash yourself clean so that you don't smell." Sumu was especially humiliated. She knew that he arranged her in such a villa because he didn't want the Cymbidium chinense to know, but she didn't know how he would humiliate her. But no matter what, she could only accept it. She walked out, and Secretary Lee was still at the door. When he saw the keys in her hand, he understood. He sighed and arranged for the driver. It was a very high-end villa, and it was decorated like a palace. It was suitable for rich men to indulge occasionally. Sumu got out of the car, and the driver drove the car away. She was the only one in the huge villa, but it was very clean. She could tell that it was often cleaned. Sumu couldn't figure out if this was a place where Yi Xiangnan had fun. If it was, she felt even more ashamed. The entire villa was decorated in Italian style, and it was so gorgeous that it was unreal. Sumu felt out of place standing on the carpet. But she knew that she had to stay and do as he asked because only Yi Xiangnan had the ability to save Sister Hong. Chapter 51-35. Of course, she could beg Wen Yuan, but she didn't. She couldn't beg Wen Yuan for such a thing. She would rather sacrifice something to beg Yi Xiangnan. It could be considered an exchange. She didn't know why he agreed to it. And in this way, he should have no lack of women around him. Sumu went upstairs. The room upstairs was also luxurious. There was a bathtub where she could swim. She felt relaxed after taking a bath. Then, she put on a black bathrobe. There was only black here. She was probably too tired, so she fell asleep on the round bed. When she woke up, it was already night time. It was dark all around. She sat up and realized that there was someone beside her. Yi Xiangnan was sitting on the sofa, staring at her in the dark. Sumu was shocked. She pursed her lips and said in a low voice, "You're here?" Yi Xiangnan leaned on the armrest of the sofa. He held his chin with one hand and stared at her for a long time. Then, he walked towards her. Sumu bit her lips. In the end, she could only silently obey him. When it was late at night, he patted her face. "I'm hungry. Cook some noodles for me." Sumu sat down. It was still dark around her. Everything that happened just now seemed like a dream. She asked softly, "It's about Sister Hong." Yi Xiaonan walked to the bathroom and said nonchalantly, "You can't possibly think that I'll be able to get things done today, right? Sumu, you think too highly of yourself." It was quite humiliating. Sumu didn't dare to argue with him. She got up and went downstairs to cook for him like a little wife. Yi Xiangnan took a shower and went downstairs. At this time, the villa was already brightly lit. He slowly went downstairs with a smug smile on his face. Actually, he still had to thank Cheng Zheng. If it wasn't for him, why would Sumu obediently come to him and let him do whatever he wanted? He sat on the sofa, lit a cigarette, and looked at Sumu in the kitchen while puffing out smoke. She was wearing a black silk bathrobe, and from the back, she looked quite decent. Although she was thin, her bone structure was really good, and even her face was not that ordinary. He admitted that he liked to see her lose control, and it was because of him. This made a man feel very accomplished. Yi Xiangnan puffed out the smoke and stared at her back. Sumu finished cooking 2 bowls of noodles in less than 20 minutes. She put them into bowls and carried them to the dining room on trays. Yi Xiangnan didn't wait for her to call him and went over. He was indeed hungry. After work, he went to the Wen family. The matter of Cheng Zheng and Sister Hong was indeed very troublesome. He wouldn't admit it if he asked Cheng Zheng for her. He could only keep pressuring him and wait until Cheng Jing felt that it was not worthwhile to hand her over. Before that, he wouldn't do anything to Sister Hong. In fact, Yi Xiangnan didn't care about what happened. He had been in the business world for a long time, and his heart was already as hard as stone. He sat there, looked at the vegetable and shredded meat noodles in front of him, and then looked at the bowl in front of Su Mu. The vegetables were green, and there was a white egg nested in the middle. It was particularly beautiful. He didn't do it, but looked at her. "Why is there no egg in my bowl?" Su Mu hadn't eaten yet, so she changed her bowl with him. But Mr. Yi was picky. "Why is there no shredded meat in my bowl?" Su Mu changed back. This time, he did it himself. He put the egg from her bowl into his own. Su Mu was a little stunned. She couldn't believe that he did such a childish thing. Yi Xiangnan quickly finished the noodles. After eating, he went upstairs and ignored her. Chapter 51-36. Su Mu finished her meal slowly and cleared the dishes. She looked at the time and saw that it was already 11:30 p.m. It seemed like a long time ago. Her mind was in a mess. She went to the bedroom but he wasn't there. Su Mu couldn't fall asleep after lying down for a while. She thought about it and went to the study. She guessed that he would be there. Indeed, Yi Xiangnan was there. He was sitting on the sofa watching a series of commercials. This was the first time she knew that he would be involved in things behind the scenes. The commercials were shot by a top celebrity. She was at least many levels more beautiful than she was. When Su Mu pushed the door open, he looked up at her and then his attitude was surprisingly gentle. "Come over and take a look together." Su Mu went over and sat beside him. She was a little nervous. Yi Xiangnan leaned against the sofa and put his arm across the back of the sofa. He laughed mockingly. "What are you nervous about? It's not like I'm going to eat you up." "No, I don't really understand," Su Mu said softly. "I can't give you any advice." Yi Xiangnan didn't say anything. He just looked at it again attentively before saying, "It's not good. You only know how to show how beautiful you are in front of the camera. This kind of traffic won't last long." He didn't seem too interested and turned off the screen in front of him. He then turned his head. "Are you waiting for me?" Before Su Mu could say anything, he continued. "Is it because of Liu Hong? Su Mu, you're really working hard. You're willing to give up everything for her. I really wonder if you're more important than anyone else except our son. How long has it been since you last saw him? Why don't you ask me how he is now? Does he miss you a lot? Does he feel sad if he can't see you?" He said a bunch of words and Su Mu couldn't refute a single word. After a long time, she wanted to speak but Yi Xiangnan interrupted her. His voice was very calm. "You can't think that I'll help you just by accompanying me and cooking a bowl of noodles for me, right?" Su Mu looked down. "How long will you be with Mr. Yi?" He chuckled, a little cruel. "You called me Mr. Yi again. Didn't you call me Yi Xiangnan just now?" Su Mu was hurt by his naughtiness again. He leaned in front of her and chuckled. "Why don't you want to play with memories?" She was so ashamed that she turned her face away. "Yi Xiangnan, don't do this to me." He sneered. "Believe me, I'm already being very polite." "Su Mu, I told you not to fall into my hands. Now, you're begging me. If you feel that the method is wrong, get out immediately, and I won't force you." Su Mu bit her lip and said after a long time, "Then what do you want?" "Marry me, Mrs. Knight, and sign an agreement never to divorce me," he said bluntly. Su Mu was stunned. He sneered. "What, you don't want to? It seems like your friendship with Liu Hong is only SOSO. Su Mu looked down and said after a long time, "Yi Xiangnan, why do you want to marry me?" "It can't be because I love you." He was direct and cruel. In order to give Cymbidium Chinense a mother, and, he stared at her. "After getting married, don't contact the Su family as much as possible. I'll arrange Su Shaoqing and your work. It's like exchanging Liu Hong for a customized mother for Cymbidium Chinense. Su Mu, think about it. After getting married, it's almost impossible for you to step out of the Yi family. Unless I want to." After Yi Xiangnan said that, Su Mu was a little absent-minded. She didn't want to, But now she seemed to have no choice. Chapter 51:37. She wasn't willing to, but she didn't seem to have a choice right now. He was truly cruel to even say that it was a custom. This meant that Sumu couldn't be herself in the future, and everything would have to be according to his wishes. She only thought about it for a few seconds before she smiled. Her smile had a hint of bitterness to it. She agreed. Yi Xiangnan then glared at her and said in a mocking tone, "Look at how forced you are. You didn't look like you were forced earlier on. I remember that you were really happy and clearly enjoyed it. Sumu, you always say one thing but mean another. Do you really hate me that much? Or do you not dare to love me because of your inferiority complex?" He was arrogant and shameless. Sumu didn't want to talk to him. Furthermore, they had already talked it out. She pushed him away and ran back to the bedroom. She didn't know where she found a cigarette. Yi Xiangnan must have left it there. Her fingers trembled as she lit it up and took a puff. The moment she took it out, the cigarette in her hand was taken away. Turning around, she saw that it was Yi Xiangnan. "Sumu, I forgot to tell you something. There's another condition, which is that we have to have another child. If you're not prepared, I can postpone it for 2 years. My career plan for you is to become an anchor. When your position is stable, we'll have another child. I want a daughter." Sumu looked at Sumu and said, "Sumu, I forgot to tell you something. There's another condition, which is that we have to have another child. If you're not prepared, I can delay it for 2 years." Sumu was about to go crazy. She muttered, "What if it's a son again?" Yi Xiangnan leaned in, his voice especially hoarse. "Let's continue then. I thought you loved having children, but earlier on, Sumu couldn't take it anymore. I'm going to sleep." He grabbed her hand. "You have endless things to talk about with Shen Wenshuan, right? You're in the mood to spend your time with him, but you have nothing to say to me. Sumu, I'm going to be your husband soon. You're sick." She couldn't help but ridicule him. "Yi Xiangnan, aren't you tired of going back and forth like a woman?" "Woman?" His face was frighteningly gloomy. "Yes, I'm not as manly as that Master Cheng. Do you like men like that?" He approached her step by step. Sumu regretted it. She knew she had to pay the price. Yi Xiangnan was refined and noble, but he was definitely not a gentle man. She was taught a lesson by him. She was miserable, bullied until she cried. Only then did he let her off. Pinching her chin, he said, "Say it again in the future. How dare you say that I'm like a woman again?" Probably because he thought it was interesting to see her cry, he pulled her in front of the mirror and let her see. "Sumu, do you still want to say that I'm a woman? Look, women cry like this, huh?" Sumu closed her eyes and spat out a few words. "Yi Xiangnan, you're really sick." The first time they stayed together, it wasn't a good time. They almost fought. Yi Xiangnan was angry at that time, but he seemed to be used to her bad temper. The next morning, he dragged her up and asked her to make breakfast. He even asked for more. When Sumu made Chinese food, he asked for Western food. When Sumu made Western food, he said that Chinese food was better. When Sumu made Western food, she was so angry that she placed both Chinese and Western food in front of him. He enjoyed her angry look and was in a good mood. In the past, she always made him angry. Now, he got back at her. She was worried every day that Liu Hong wasn't around. CEO Yi suddenly felt that after Liu Hong came back, he would treat her as a guest for a period of time. That was pretty good. Sumu had to be obedient. Chapter 51:38. Yi Xiangnan had some dark thoughts, which were not known to others. He kept Sumu in the villa for a few days. He had to work on Monday, so he told her what had happened after he got up. Sumu leaned against the bed and watched him stand by the bed to put on his clothes and tie. She thought to herself that he was indeed a very good-looking man, but his temper was really bad. Until now, Sumu didn't know what he wanted to do. She couldn't understand why he didn't go to court for 3 days. She leaned against the bed and heard him say, "Get up and follow me to the company. There's a meeting today that you have to attend." She couldn't help but wonder if he was going to spend a week here if there wasn't an important meeting. In fact, Yi Xiangnan did have such a plan, but the situation outside was very tense. To put it bluntly, he had to pay a high price to get Su Mu and marry her. At least, he had to fight with Cheng Zheng. One was to save Sister Hong, and the other was to steal the woman Cheng Zheng wanted to marry. Of course, Cheng Zheng didn't dare to touch the Yi family. That uncouth man wasn't that stupid, but it was easy to avoid a spear in the open, but it was hard to guard against a stab in the dark. Who knew what Cheng Zheng, a mad dog, would do? Yes, in young Master Yi's heart, Cheng Zheng was a mad dog. Although Yi Xiangnan was in the entertainment business, it was a legitimate business. At most, he did some work in the financial circle. However, Cheng Zheng was different. There must be some unorthodox business. The higher-ups had always wanted to catch him, but they couldn't find a chance. Yi Xiangnan would rather offend a gentleman than a person like Cheng Zheng, although he could afford to offend the president of Stars Entertainment. Su Mu wanted to ask about Sister Hong, but she was afraid that he wouldn't want to, so she got up and silently tied his tie. To Yi Xiangnan's surprise, Su Mu tied the tie very well. She looked inexplicably beautiful in black silk pajamas with her hair down. Yi Xiangnan opened his mouth and his voice was a little hoarse. "Why are you so active? Do you need my help again?" Su Mu pursed her lips and asked in a low voice, "How is Sister Hong?" Yi Xiangnan reached out to smooth his tie, but unfortunately, he caught her hand. Su Mu wanted to pull her hand away, but he didn't let her. He grabbed her hand and said in a hoarse voice, "Other than asking about her, do you have anything else to say to me?" Indeed, Su Mu did not. In the past, they could still get along with each other peacefully. However, these few days, he had been particularly hateful. Yi Xiangnan smiled. He knew that she was probably annoyed with him. He grabbed her hand and looked at it for a while. "Are you angry? Isn't that what a normal couple is like? Besides, we're newlyweds on our honeymoon." Speaking of this, Su Mu was even more disgusted. The day after she moved in, he asked Secretary Li to bring a lawyer over to sign the marriage certificate. She didn't even know if they were remarried. It was like a child's play. No matter what, they were legally married now. He locked her here and said that they were going on a honeymoon. Su Mu was scared to death of him. How could there be any sweetness? He probably knew it too. He chuckled softly and his voice was especially low and seductive. "Are you not used to this?" Su Mu suddenly didn't want to talk to him anymore. She bit her lower lip and said, "I'll go make breakfast." Yi Xiangnan grabbed her wrist. "Change your clothes. I'll take you to the company later." She frowned and instinctively refused. However, Yi Xiangnan said again, "Don't you want to see Liu Hong? I've asked Cheng Zheng." Su Mu's eyes slightly widened. Yi Xiangnan snorted. "I think you're suitable to live with Liu Hong. I don't know why you're so interested in such a woman. She's a reporter, but she's like a veteran. You'll learn bad things if you follow her." In essence, a rich young master like Yi Xiangnan didn't like women like Sister Hong. He felt that she was too casual. Thinking about it, it was necessary to drink with her and then do her hair. If Su Mu followed her for a long time, she would probably learn bad things. After Yi Xiangnan finished speaking, Su Mu hated him. After thinking for a long time, she still couldn't help but refute him. "What about Lin Lu? She's not like a veteran. What is she like?" Unexpectedly, Yi Xiangnan answered her seriously. "She's a slut." He was really shameless to the extreme. Su Mu glared at him. He smiled. "Well, it's all in the past. I don't even remember what she looked like. Is there a need to mention it?" Su Mu didn't say anything. She wanted to change her clothes, but he grabbed her hand and dragged her to his side. Su Mu was particularly speechless. "Yi Xiangnan, what do you want now?" "Nothing." His voice was low and hoarse. "I just want to ask if you're jealous." Su Mu stared at him for a long time before saying, "No. So you don't care if I have a woman outside?" He seized the meaning of her words to make an issue. In fact, he was also teasing her. Now he felt that it was quite interesting and he was not in the mood to find a woman. Yi Xiangnan was used to seeing beautiful women. He had also played with them once, But he was not as good as Sumu. Of course, a wife was meant to be doted on, not played around, he added in his heart. Sumu struggled for a while but couldn't break free. She was a little annoyed. If you want to find one, then go find one. In the end, she still broke free and walked into the cloakroom to change her clothes. He had actually prepared a lot of clothes here, all of which were her measurements. They were very fitting clothes, but they weren't meant for upper-class women. There were quite a number of women who had a more mature style. Sumu was slightly stunned. Yi Xiangnan actually came over again. His beautiful chin rested on her shoulder and he chuckled. Why do I feel that your words are a little jealous? That's what you think. Sumu's voice was still cold. He chuckled and reached out to choose suitable clothes for her. In the end, he pulled out a wool skirt and a white coat. Since Sumu was thin, she looked good in light-colored clothes. Initially, he wanted to buy her some famous brands like Chanel. However, firstly, he was afraid that Sumu would not be used to them. Secondly, she was still very young. She was only 23 years old. There was no need for her to dress up too extravagantly. That would make her look old. Yi Xiangnan was born into a wealthy family and worked in the fashion industry. He had good taste and could also see that Sumu was talented. She picked the right clothes and had a good temperament. After fooling around with her for a while, he did not go out even after Sumu changed. It was not that she was used to it, but she had no choice. They went downstairs. Sumu made a Western-style breakfast, mainly because it was more convenient. Yi Xiangnan drank a glass of milk and said casually, I have an appointment with Cheng Zheng. It's not convenient for you. Sumu looked down. Then why should I go to the company? Yi Xiangnan laughed. Did you think that I would meet Cheng Zheng at the company? What else? Where? It can't be at his club, right? Sumu asked softly. Chapter 51-39. Yi Xiangnan still chuckled. Mrs. Yi, you've started to control me as soon as you got married. Although he said so, Sumu knew that the title of Mrs. Yi was just a name. She was no different from his mistress. She was placed in the villa for him to enjoy. If she wasn't a plaything, what was she? A marriage certificate couldn't change the fact. Sumu's biggest advantage was also her biggest shortcoming. She was too sober, or she didn't know how to deal with it. Sometimes, she wouldn't do something that could be solved by acting coquettishly. She just wanted to be stubborn to the end. She didn't say anything. Yi Xiangnan pinched her chin. What, you don't admit it? I didn't. Don't be so boring, she said softly. Yi Xiangnan laughed and didn't say anything else. He just finished his breakfast and got in the car. In the car, he said casually while fastening the seatbelt, let Secretary Li take you to the station to get familiar with the environment. I forgot to tell you that the office of the station is in Stars Entertainment. You have to go to the studio for recording. In the future, Mr. Yi will send you to and from work every day. No one will dare to bully you. You know how powerful it is. Many women can't get it. After saying that, he smiled proudly. He wanted to do that for a long time. Wasn't Sumu stubborn? Wasn't she disobedient? He had to straighten her up and make her listen to him. It was interesting to torment her like this. It was better than dating a beautiful woman. No matter how beautiful a woman was, she would always lose her character when she saw CEO Yi. It was boring to be the same. Sumu was different. CEO Yi had fully experienced it these days. He was in a good mood. Although he had to see Cheng Zheng, he wouldn't be in such a bad mood. He hated Mr. Cheng very much before. He went to Stars Entertainment in a very good mood. After handing over Sumu to Secretary Li, he held a group meeting until 10 o'clock in the morning. After 10 o'clock, he raised his hand to look at his watch. Finally, he drove out by himself. The location turned out to be a tea house. It had an antique atmosphere and was very cultured. This place was decided by Master Cheng. Master Cheng had heard that his ex-husband's pretty boy had a very high education level. If he were to meet at places like the clubhouse, he would be laughed at. Therefore, he discussed with his subordinates and chose this place. It was grand and bright. However, no matter how open-minded Master Cheng was, he was also shocked by the demeanor of the gigolo when he came in. After not seeing him for a few days, his ex-husband's bad luck was swept away, and he was actually very different. Master Cheng was a man, so he knew the reason as soon as he thought about it. He immediately stood up and said gruffly, "Yi Xiangnan, what did you do to Su Mu?" Yi Xiangnan was born into a good family and had seen the world. Cheng Zheng's moves could not scare him. Even if he came alone, he would not be afraid. If a person in the entertainment industry did not have this bit of courage, how could he be the president and support his artists? Yi Xiangnan curled his lower lip and sat down. He looked at Master Cheng and said, "Is this Su Mu you're talking about, my wife, Su Mu?" Wife. Master Cheng was stunned and then felt a little depressed. Yi Xiangnan's tone was very relaxed. Just like Master Cheng's thoughts, he swept away his previous bad luck. "I forgot to tell you that Su Mu and I have gotten our marriage certificate. We are legally married. Now we live alone. Miu Miu can wash clothes and cook. She is very gentle and considerate. She even helped me tie a tie in the morning." The meaning of his words made Master Cheng go crazy. This man really did do something to Su Mu. Chapter 5140. He was too shameless. On the one hand, he secretly used the people of the Wen family to make things difficult for him, and on the other hand, he forced Su Mu. Su Mu must have been forced. Master Cheng's eyes widened, and he was about to lose his temper when one of his subordinates pulled him and reminded him in a low voice, "Master Cheng, Miss Su is not anyone to you. You can't do anything to CEO Yi now. Besides, they have a son. You forgot that you are here to do business today. If you ruin business because of your love affair, it will be terrible in the future. If this goes on, more than half of the venues will be closed, and it will be very difficult in the future." Under his persuasion, Cheng Zheng loosened his clenched fists and sat down unwillingly. His voice was still rough. "I have never seen such a despicable person as you. Miu Miu must have been forced and bullied by you." Yi Xiangnan smiled and asked for a cup of tea. His slender jade-like fingers gently twirled the tea leaves, which was actually a bit seductive. Master Cheng's eyes widened. Fuck, this gigolo's hands are even more beautiful than those of women. No wonder so many women like him. No, women still like men like me who are masculine and have a good physique. However, this gigolo's appearance was really good. His skin, the shoulders in the expensive suit, and his nose and lips were all famous. Master Cheng felt that he couldn't look at him anymore. He even felt that Yi Xiangnan's Adam's apple was a little sexy. Wasn't this what women liked the most? For the first time, Master Cheng was not so confident in his male hormones. He stared at Yi Xiangnan for a long time and said, "You look good, but you are useless." Yi Xiangnan didn't care. He took a sip of tea and said, "Su Mu is very happy." Master Cheng was about to vomit blood again. Is this gigolo here to talk business or to show off? At this time, he couldn't afford to offend this gigolo, so he kept drinking tea. What the hell is this? It's not as good as coffee. Master Cheng got someone to bring a cup of coffee over. The person gave him a cup of hand-ground yogurt, but Master Cheng wasn't used to it. "It's too bitter. Change to something sweeter, the kind with cream. Seriously, you can't even do something right. You're deliberately making me unhappy." His subordinate was about to cry. That's called instant tea. It can't be sold in such a high-end tea house. Master Cheng was already very angry, so he scolded, "Then, go and buy it for me." His subordinate went to buy it. Master Cheng straightened his clothes and pretended to say, "I'm sorry to let Boss Yi see a joke." Yi Xiaonan smiled, and then said indifferently, "Cheng Zheng, what's your purpose today?" Master Cheng glared at him. "Didn't you come here to beg me?" "Really?" Yi Xiangnan said indifferently, "I don't have anything to ask of you." If Master Cheng has nothing to say, then it's settled. I still have something to do. Su Mu is waiting for me to come home and cook for her. She has been working hard these days. Master Cheng cursed the gigolo to death in his heart. This gigolo was so sinister. The cause of the incident was obviously him trying to save Sister Hong, but he didn't say anything. Instead, He used underhanded means to put pressure on him through the Wen family. That person from the Wen family gave the order, and all the big and small people in B City wanted to kill him. It was originally an exchange, but now it became a one-sided request. Master Cheng was very clear that he was going to be blackmailed. Why did Su Mu narrow her eyes? She found such a sinister gigolo and gave birth to a son. In the future, would Cymbidium Chinense be as cunning as his father? Chapter 51-41. Master Cheng was not convinced in his heart. How could he be so easily restrained by a gigolo? Master Cheng smiled, revealing a row of white teeth. CEO Yi's words are a little hurtful. CEO Yi and I agreed to have tea here, but CEO Yi is concerned about the woman at home. How about this? I'll invite CEO Yi to have some fun. There are all kinds of girls. This gigolo, when he hugged a girl, he would take a photo and send it to Su Mu. Su Mu would be very angry when she saw it. At that time, he still wanted to get close to Su Mu. Yi Xiangnan was as calm as water. Mr. Cheng, you may not know this, but I'm newly married. Our relationship is very good. No matter how beautiful the outside world is, I don't have eyes to look at it. Mr. Cheng, you don't understand this kind of feeling. Master Cheng was angry. How could he not understand? Is he bullying me because I don't have a wife or a woman? I have all kinds of wild cats in my big villa. I can spoil this one today and love that one tomorrow. Can the gigolo do it? Does he dare to do it? If I play with him like this, will Su Mu skin me alive? Master Cheng was quite clear about Su Mu's character. She was stubborn and smelly since she was young. If someone wasn't good, she would ignore them until they died. She was very patient. After all these years, Master Cheng also felt that he was cheap. Why couldn't he forget her? She didn't look good and had a bad temper. At this time, Master Cheng thought about it. It didn't seem worthwhile to be with Su Mu. He couldn't flirt with women and play around. He had to report when he went out. Otherwise, Su Mu would ignore him for a year. Just thinking about it made his life miserable. Master Cheng's mood became better. He looked at Yi Xiangnan and smiled. Actually, men are more free when they are single. Isn't that right, CEO Yi? Yi Xiangnan's slender fingers held the cup. Are you jealous now, Mr. Cheng? Why would I be jealous? Master Cheng complained, and then his expression turned serious. Liu Hong can be released, but can CEO Yi also show mercy? After all, my brothers still need to eat. Yi Xiangnan smiled faintly. Your brothers want to eat, my stall also needs to eat, and they're all quite dissatisfied. They say that Master Cheng of B City only cares about himself and doesn't leave any rations for others. After working for nothing for so many days, they're also a little impatient, so they can't do without some things in their hands. When Master Cheng heard this, he knew that this gigolo was up to no good. Great, this gigolo was trying to take advantage of Master Cheng. This gigolo had guts. He really wanted to kill this brat, but he couldn't. This guy was the precious egg of the Wen family. Master Cheng laughed while bleeding. Isn't it just a matter of money? CEO Yi is also a person who is used to such situations. Just give me a number. Yi Xiangnan smiled. Mr. Cheng, do as you see fit. It's just a matter of drinking a cup of flowers. It's no big deal. Master Cheng stared at his face and sneered. CEO Yi really kills people without seeing blood. You're amazing. I've seen it today. He lowered his head to write a check. 200 million was gone just like that. However, Yi Xiangnan put his hand on the checkbook and smiled. Just write me as the recipient. Master Cheng originally had a plan. He wanted to get hold of those bastards' weaknesses. They ate his food and drank his food. How could they not pay some price? However, this gigolo in front of him was too powerful and shrewd. Master Cheng ground his white teeth. CEO Yi is really generous. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.